Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to my super professional high tech extravaganza. It's Saturday night. I got a house full of kids playing some D&D downstairs. I got a bunch of friends up here watching me do some painting, chatting, and chilling. See who's over there in the chat. We got Stephen Kennedy. What's happening? Mac, how you doing? Um, the link is in my Discord. If you don't have it, let me know, and maybe I'll put it in the chat for you guys to pop in and hang out. I'm a little leery about doing that, but been a busy day running around, getting everything ready for Jackie's game. He's got the six of his friends downstairs playing. They've been playing since about 1 o'clock. Belly full of pizza and Doritos and Mountain Dew, and having a good old time. I'm looking forward to hearing the after action report from the little guy after they've all left, and he can tell me all the juicy details. I helped him build the terrain and set up the table for various possible outcomes using our Dungeons and Lasers terrain and some Hearst Arts molds and all kinds of minis and things I've been painting up here on the show. A bunch of space cops, things like that. Hoping that the next game or two we can use some of the creepier Dungeons and Lasers terrain. We've got the belly of the beast and the demonic cave, the spider cave, the goblin cave, the lost mines, and what's the other one? I forget what the other one is, but there was a bunch of stuff from the caves, and it's all pre-painted, and we've been dying to use it, but they've been bipping around. It's more of a traveler game, honestly, than a actual D&D game, but it's a mix of the two because of his own lore and world's universe setting. All from his channel, his Fourth Agenda video uh, channel that he's been working on for years, and now they're playing in that lore, which is really kind of awesome. We didn't have all these bells and whistles back then. We are lucky if we had graph paper and a full set of dice. Speaking of which, they got two of my favorite sets of dice down there they're using because they didn't forget those. They brought the cursed set of dice that's famous for rolling four ones on a 20 in a row, and they didn't want to use those, so all right, fine. You can use some of my really cool metal dice. Just make sure you use them in the dice tray and not on the wood grain table. Right, Bo? So, what are you guys up to tonight? I see we got a couple people watching us. That's awesome. Really appreciate it. I'm still working on the giant starship 3D print, doing some doors right now. Trying to get them that signal fire engine red to match everything else. I think I did a pretty good job uh, keeping those black lines, but it still needs another coat of red. But I also kind of want to give it a little bit of flecks of metal chipping and rust. What is best in life? It depends on who you ask. If you ask Conan fans, they'll give you that line from the movie, which I don't. I don't. I'm not big on making innocent women and children suffer because their a-hole husbands or mates did some dumb shit. I don't think Conan would have ever said that, according to Robert E. Howard. But we've been through that. But for me, what's best in life is Space Hulk. It is a house full of kids playing some D&D and enjoying their last, hurrah together. I've been wanting to get a copy of Space Hulk since back when it was on the Neo Geo, was it? I forget. Whatever video game system Panasonic made back in the day. I had the Space Hulk and Gek or Gex, the Gecko, bunch of video games for my ex girlfriend. She worked at Panasonic and got me that system for Christmas, and I had so much fun playing Space Hulk. Omen, how you doing, man?
I'm alive.
I'm
Wanted
glad
to,
to hear that. Always. It's been a few minutes since we got to hang out.
yeah,
Anything new going
I
on?
was I lucked out because I checked out of the hotel a few hours before it burned down. So that was
Holy crap! Uh, that's that's I know the feeling. I checked. I got on the Greyhound bus in Atlanta back in the '90s, right before a freaking tornado started chasing us down the highway. We were on the Greyhound bus. We literally saw a pickup truck do an end over end, like
Oof.
to the side. I want to say to the side of us. Just it
Well, I
was.
mean, yeah, I was out in the field and we saw rain come in. We saw lightning. I said, "Well, I'm going to cut it. I'll just have to do another day trip out there." And I'd already checked out that morning. Well, apparently, several. It was like about 8 hours later. Lightning hit the Holiday Inn and caught it on fire. And they said it was.
I hope no one was hurt.
I don't think anyone was, but apparently there was someone inside that said he felt the whole building shake when the lightning hit. And I was like, that is some pretty powerful lightning.
What's happening, George?
Hey. All right, I'm a little
And no, I will
discombobulated.
not get
Hold
a
on.
haircut. You should know me by now. I have not had my hair cut in really close to 6 years. Awesome, awesome, Mac. I hope you like it. That's book like 8 or 9 in the series, but there's all kinds of great little ideas in there to implement in any number of games. So what have you been up to, George?
Oh, nothing. I just kind of just finished eating dinner, so I'm a little bit disorganized. So,
Okay, all right,
and
yeah.
I
Go
rearranged
ahead.
my setup, so I don't have the screen in the background, but now I can look at the screen while I talk to you guys. But of course, I don't have it on the screen properly. There we go. So, like, I have my camera mounted behind this screen, but of course, no,
Oh, okay.
everything's all retarded.
Well, speaking of which, I used to live in Orange County, and I saw that report with the 2 or 3 freaking chemical tanks that are about to explode. Uh, that's pretty scary because even though it's hundreds of miles away, it would be nothing to get those fumes all the way into my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
It's been 10,000 years since you had a haircut. Damn hippie immortals. I can show you a picture from hell, I don't even have to show you a picture. Go back to the very first video on this channel. I had short hair. And I have not had my hair cut since then. Because shortly thereafter we got COVID and uh, that was just, screw it. I'm gonna grow my hair out long again. Uh, it's been off and on, long and short, throughout my life, and you know, I noticed when I first started doing YouTube, I looked like pretty much every other freaking Tom, Dick, and Harry on YouTube. Short hair, beard, blonde guy, uh, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll be the long-haired hippie DM, and here we are, right?
Yeah. I usually when I do the art, like the AI art stuff,
Yeah.
I remember the last one. I expressly told Gemini to make him look less like a hippie.
Oh.
I appreciate that. I really, really do.
could, could, could,
Um,
could you not make it look like the dude? The Jedi, the dude.
yeah, I dig it. The funny thing is a lot of them though. He showed me behind the scenes. I look like your typical hipster Latino,
Mhm.
right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not that tan. I can get that tan, but I'm not. And I definitely don't look like who's that? Is it George Lopez? They're starting to make me look like George Lopez a
Do
Yeah.
do
little. With
do.
long hair.
Sorry. That's
I hate that guy. He's such a dirtbag.
Yeah, I heard
I
he's.
mean, come on. He only stole. Isn't he the one that stole everyone's jokes?
Yeah, right,
No, that
right.
was
I used to
Carlos Mencia.
Okay,
think
yeah. Sorry.
I was a big fan of his, especially that one bit, that one concert he did where he didn't leave on a joke. He made everybody's all like bummed out, kind of, because it was like, you know, talking about the fragility of life or some such. Hey, what's up, Squirrel? What's happening, man? Oh my God, my dog is. I love my
That-
dog, but
That's why he's barking because squirrels here.
there you go, there you go. And my camera is lagging so bad right now, it's driving me crazy. I'm looking at my camera and I'm like, yeah, I did that
Shadow
like a
is
minute.
just being look. He's being. They've had the voiceover just like they did in the old 1970s kung fu films, and so that's what we see when he's talking.
Hey Mac, you want the link? You guys want to come on in? Let me know. I'll make it easy and I'll throw the link in the chat. I know Mac was waiting earlier.
Well,
Uh,
he's on your server. It's right there in the live stream links.
I know, but sometimes
There's too much drunkenness. No, it's
could be. I don't know. He's a grown ass man. He can do whatever he wants, unless he's married, and then got to sneak around with that shit. I know I do sometimes.
Yeah.
yes, but you're sneaking around. Just let me see if I can buy this without her noticing.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
No, I
Can I hide the chocolate so she won't get it first?
dude, I have not had chocolate in about 2 months. I uh, I cut down on that and a bunch of other stuff because even my large comic book and nerddom T-shirts aren't fitting. I'm like, what the hell? I've never been this big in my life.
Yeah. I had
Nice
a little bout of
flashback.
diverticulitis, so like I lost a lot of weight, but like I
Oh,
had to, like it was like I can't eat this stuff now. So yeah, I haven't had chocolate. I haven't had. I think what they say it's a lot of fiber. Like I used to binge on peanuts all the time,
Yes,
so that was killing me. So
I. You can have the legumes. I always had.
yeah,
I always liked eating the pecans, but I noticed one thing is, and people forget about it. A lot of them have really high fats. Like pecans are 200 calories per ounce, and so I noticed I was gaining weight. So I started realizing it was healthier to just eat the candy that people would put out in their dish. So,
yeah. I mean, and I think it's also I think a lot of the nuts have like omega 6s or something.
well, they're supposed to be
So
healthy, but it's like everything in moderation.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. There's no such thing when someone hands you or gives you a can, jar, bag, box of mixed nuts around the holidays. It's like, okay, breakfast and lunch are covered. What's for dinner?
Well,
yeah,
well, the problem is that I would grab like 2 pounds from Costco, and I just put them over by my desk and just eat while I was working through the day. You just
You know what's worse though? Back, I don't know if you remember. I think it was Kellogg's. They put out this brand new granola cereal, and it only lasted for a while because they realized just how freaking. I mean, one little box was about it was like the size of a small box, but it
yes.
weighed like 3 pounds or whatever. I got one box and I gained like 15 pounds just having it for breakfast.
Oh
It's like,
hmm,
wow.
oh my god, what the hell? And then it disappeared, and we're all probably better off for that because it was fattening.
Well, it was probably too expensive. Is the reality because they don't care like about your health. Uh,
You're right, right, right.
Actually, my favorite was, and they were talking about doing it, and then the economy collapsed. But I remember people freaking out over heart attack. Was the heart attack grill? Are you people familiar?
oh
Are you
yeah,
familiar with that?
in
And
Vegas.
Yeah, didn't
well, yeah,
didn't
but
they
there was an
do a?
open one in Dallas. And it was so funny because all of these health nuts were screaming about how unhealthy it was. And people don't know what they're getting. Like, it's literally called Heart Attack Grill. He says, no one should eat my food. It's a dangerous. They call their hamburgers like the bypass burger. And every time, you get the
Yeah,
single bypass, double bypass, you can have like 8, I said, at which point can you make it any more obvious that your food is unhealthy?
yeah.
Right? Didn't they do an episode of the Boondocks related to that with the itis?
It was
Where
something
after
similar,
where
but yeah, it was something similar. But the difference was is that but they were getting the owner. This is just you can tell when people are in their little moral crusade. Like, what are you going to tell them? They're like, this is so unhealthy. I went, yeah, he's telling you it's unhealthy. He literally calls his stuff. It was, I just these people. What it really comes down to is I think that they want to feel important. And I went, well, people eating there know what they're getting. Um,
yeah, at
you
what
know,
point do people no longer have to uh, take accountability for their own actions.
Well, no, I'm
Um,
not saying that. What I'm meaning is, which point do we need the nanny state people to come in and tell us it's unhealthy when they already tell you it's unhealthy? It's like saying, um, you know, belly busting donuts, pure
mhm.
sugar, heart attack inducing. I mean, if you did that, and then say, "Well, it's terrible that you're creating these things, and we should ban you from building here," it's like, um, because it's unhealthy. But yes, it's on my advertisements. it's, I don't know. I'm not, which is much healthier than like McDonald's when they were trying to sell their salads. You found out their salads had more calories than their hamburgers.
Yeah.
Singing, doing a little work around the house. What's up, Mike? What's the topic you're not going to stick to? The topic we're not going to stick to. Hold on. The kids, they're playing a sci-fi version of D&D, and they've got the soundtrack from Red Dead Redemption, I think, playing in the background. So I got to be careful and make sure that that doesn't come blaring through here. What are we
So
going to
what
not
do you have
talk
there?
about?
So George, what book are you looking at there in your hand?
Oh, I just the things I used to have in the background. This is a Neil Gaiman, Tekkenophorig, something like
Oh,
that. It's
What?
just really colorful. So it's a comic book,
yeah,
graphic
yeah.
novel.
I
No,
can't
I
see it.
Sorry.
I was just trying
Oh,
to see what
Yeah.
the. Okay, cool.
Oh, I forget oh, that back is kind of cool.
He is the serpent, and then okay, technophage.
oh, okay.
Yeah, the font was
I
throwing me off.
vaguely remember that.
And then this one actually, like I just found this one day at Barnes and Nobles. It's called Flight, and it's just a bunch of small little comics in there,
Oh, cool.
and all kind of based on flight stuff. So there we go.
Yeah.
So and then there's like and all different styles. Some of them are just images. Some of them are lots of text. I think there's about a girl that was afraid of heights or something, and did the thing that I think psychiatrists say you shouldn't do, which was force them to to confront it. But it's a cool story.
Well,
That's how.
you're supposed to have them confront it, but it's supposed to be under their. You're working your way
Yeah,
towards it. Yeah, it's not. What you don't do is you don't throw them into the situation and say, "Good
yeah,
luck." Yeah.
yeah.
You
So I
know,
think it was.
Squirrel. I was watching. James L sent me a couple of videos on slap chop and speed paints, and I forget the mini hobbyist. I think is his name. He's a British guy, and I was watching his videos, and one of them was like the top 10 tips he wished he knew when he started painting, and one of them was with his speed paints. He painted. I guess he painted all his bottle caps white, and then painted the bottle cap with the color of the paint. And before I had just done that with the. Here, let me show you. Like here's one of the bottles. Okay, can I get? Okay,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
just did the top, and then I
Yeah.
would paint the top. But I'm going to do the whole cap because I saw the way it looked, and from a distance where my paints are, you'd be like, whoosh, got the color I want without having to pull it up out of the holder and all that. That's going to be a monumental task of painting each cap because I don't want to go and take them downstairs and like try to spray paint the caps, even though that would be the smart thing to do, but it would also be the most time consuming way to do it because
Just
you
pull out
know.
your airbrush, use the white paint on them initially, and then paint over it with the appropriate. And you don't use that much ink, and it dries really fast. So
Because it really looked. I was watching him, but before he said that tip, I'm like, how did you do that? How did you do that? Or how did you buy them? The obvious answer is he did it himself. And I'm like, that looks freaking sharp. If you've got them in, the sort of like the spectrum of here's all the greens from light to dark, reds, blues, that sort of thing. Because I kid you guys not, right here within arm's reach, about 500 different bottles of paint. And I've got to kind of memorize, okay, here's the Army Painter old stuff. Here's the Army Painter metallics. Here's the Army Painter washes. Here's the Vallejo. Here's the new speed paints. Here's all the Reaper paints that I'm trying to get rid of because some of the greatest paints ever. But let me see if I can find one. Their labels were absolute dog water. Can you read anything on there?
I barely the number. Yeah, you may need
Yeah,
to. Yeah, it's
I had to write down when I could back a while ago what color it is, and then I got to read my own handwriting. And I'm like, bastards. It was
well,
such cheap black and white ink that it just faded. Not even from use or wear, just faded.
no.
Like
I mean, the best thing you can
existed.
do, like you said, is when you paint that, is then what does it actually look like when you paint? Which I think is one of the problems whenever you get things is like,
Mhm.
what does the paint actually look like? Um,
So, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing this week. I guess a little bit at a time, but because I used to, here I'll show you. Uh, I did the caps on the original washes, and it didn't do dick. You can't tell what that is. It just
yeah,
looks like shit, because it's a wash, so it's going to just go down in the crevices, and this cap has got a 3D little divot, and you got like,
yep.
the heck is that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where it goes. Oh, it goes over here. Um, so I'm going to do it the hard way next week and get them all ready so that I can, paint better and faster and stuff like that. But it's going to take me probably all week to get that done. Um,
Well, I
and
mean, if it
then the
look,
worst, the worst will be the ones that have black caps because you'll have to spray them thicker with the white and I don't
so I've been
know.
noticing that several of the UK companies are having their sales. So Cubicle 7 has their sales for about 20% off, which is good for them. And then, of course, Modifius has a lot of their stuff for half off, which I like their, 5 parsecs from home, 5 leagues from the borderlands. So that's all half off. But boy,
Mhm.
shipping is a killer.
Yeah, I won't buy anything out. And I saw a bunch of things in the last 3 weeks or so. Great prices for the things I was looking for. I was looking for the old West Winds or Old Glory or whatever, a bunch of Vampire Hunter miniatures for this game called Vampire Wars.
Yes.
And it was like $20 for a blister of like 4 to 6 metal minis. And then the shipping was more than the blister pack.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I mean,
20 bucks for a blister pack, 24 for shipping. I'm not paying 45, $50 for 4 or 5 metal miniatures. Just not
well,
doing that.
Well, to me, that's why I try buying in bulk. Like, you know what? If I'm going to do it, I'll buy it. And usually,
Hmm.
depending on
Hmm.
what they do, some of them just either have kind of a
Right.
flat rate
If I'm getting
shipping.
like, if you're buying a bunch of books or,
Yeah.
you're spending like $100, but then, if it's going to be like, another 100 for shipping, I guarantee I can look around in the States and for the most part, even find stuff that's normally only available in the UK or wherever because some distributor out here will have bitten the
Yeah.
bullet like a while ago and got them, or have a better deal or something like that. What did you get, Squirrel? Did you get the washes, the full set, one of the 2010 or so bottle mixes? I almost made a grievous mistake. I was getting ready to order from Gnomish Bazaar, thinking I was out of a couple of colors and washes, and it turns out I had already done that. I've got 2 extra bottles of Sand Golem, an extra bottle of Blood Red, and like 2 extra bottles of the black wash and some of the other washes. And I was just gonna. I put them in my cart, and then I got sidetracked, and I said like I should check over the other side of the room and see if I have how much black wash I have. It's like I already got 2 bottles, so psh, I could go like 5 6 months maybe, and not need to buy them. But I am going to look around uh, because they have some $3.49 for a bottle of paint right now. That's actually like a buck and a half off. If you can find them at like Michaels or Hobby Lobby when they had them, or even your game store, it's going to be like $4.99 for the same bottle.
Yeah. That's what it says. If you can get stuff on sale, even with the higher shipping, I don't mind as much. But, some of it was like, well, that's kind of cool because I like the 5 parsecs from home, the 5 leagues from the borderlands,
I
especially.
like the 5 parsecs, but I'm not a solo war gamer guy. I can't do it.
Well, I
If
mean,
Jackie
you can do it with
was
your
in it,
son. I mean, I kind of like the. Yeah, I agree with you. It allows you to do
hey
it
hey
solo, but it allows you to do it with another person too. But it's not against each other; it's
Speaking
against
speaking of
you
Jackie,
know.
I got you just reminded me. Guess who made valedictorian?
Fantastic.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably the first person in either of our families ever to get that and a bunch of other awards. And he got a little scholarship, I think, or some such.
Little
But
scholarship. He should be getting almost a full ride.
yeah, well, you would think, but you know how they do it in California? Lottery.
Well, see, in Texas, it's if you're in the top 10% in your class, you pretty much get automatically accepted. That said, is I was referring to just your son should be getting all sorts of scholarships and things like that, so he shouldn't have to be paying any of that.
He got a couple things. I every time I ask him, he won't tell me. But um, I there was this thing on Friday or Wednesday or Thursday, and he had this dinner with JROTC, or he could go to the fairgrounds where the kids had to show up, get a ticket, put it in a box, and then they would draw randomly. And I'm like, you're freaking kidding me, right? No merit, just random. Okay, one, it's California, so you know damn well whoever wins, someone will have cheated for them. And two, again, what the fuck? You should get it based on your academic success, not based on randomness. That's it's going to end up going to some kid whose mom just dragged him there, to put in a ticket to hopefully randomly win, and then never even go or do anything with it. You know what I mean?
I well, I'm just surprised. Well, I mean, normally if you apply, like if your son,
Thank you,
I don't know
Mac.
where your,
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
I don't know where your son has applied to for schooling, and
He's done some of the I forget you and Grim both set him on the path to a couple of different places he applied, and he got something else with his mom. Telling him, "Hey, sign up here, sign up there." He'll be okay, but I think what he's going to do is possibly do Army Reserve this summer or the beginning of next school year, and then before or after that, just do the local JC for two
yep,
years, and,
that I
and
mean
then go
that's
from
actually
there.
works pretty well if he can do that with the Army Reserve. I mean, if he does Army Reserves, that's pretty good, and
Yep.
then he can do that, and then what he can also do, especially I think if he's in the Army Reserves or Air Force or whatever. Since your son is valedictorian, you should apply for to see if he wants to go to the military academy because that's a free ride entirely. Um,
It's funny. Remember a while back, and I kept saying I want him to do Air Force, the full thing, uh, and his mom was like, "No, no, 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 he'll go off and he'll get killed." Blah. All it took was a couple of guys at her work who were engineers who went into the Air Force to tell him he can be an engineer, the last thing in the world he wants to be. For her to be like, "Why isn't he doing that? Why isn't he doing that?" And I'm like, "Well, because you scared the shit out of him and made him feel guilty for 2 years, saying, 'Don't do that. I won't let you do that.' Blah 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 blah." Blah. And now she wants him to do it more than I do. It's like whatever he wants to do is fine. It's his life. I'm
I
not
mean,
going to push him into something he hates.
yeah, I
And
mean that's the worst thing you can do. It's like just
Mhm.
I've seen so many people just because someone's good
He'll
at it.
figure it out. They got it so easy compared to what we had to do. Right, guys? I mean,
It's Air
uh,
Force. It's the chair force. We all joke about how easy it is.
right. And,
Yeah.
and see, because of her, he thinks that the only thing he could do is something highly technical, which he's not bad at. Obviously, he got really good grades in aerospace science and things like that. But he's way too creative to be
You know
able to
what though?
do.
So I'm gonna bring this up, which I think some people forget about is that and that's the point of like if he goes to Army Reserves or whatever, get an MOS for something that you think will be fun, and whatever that is, and
Right.
then you can always get your technical stuff behind the scenes. And then what I mean by this is, yeah, okay, you probably don't want to be an infantry son, but you might have fun being like a combat engineer. You might have fun doing construction engineering, because then they'll teach you how to operate, the dozers and everything else, which isn't something you would normally do in college. And at least you get that hands-on experience to get something different. I knew a lady who did that actually. That's what she went into. I can't remember. I think she went into the Army Reserves, and yeah, she got her degree in engineering. But she's like, well, it was fun to do that for 4 years. Letting someone else pay you to to do this.
Yeah. I think he just uh, like I said a while ago, he wants to teach history, and I don't think he understands how that's not going to be allowed eventually.
No, the problem isn't that it'll be allowed. The problem is it won't be. It's just like now. It's not that useful. It's the kind of thing of, if you really want to study history, go to Amazon, read a book a week, and you'll save yourself thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, what I meant was is they won't let him teach the things that he'll want to talk about, or the way it really was. You'll have to go by whatever the book says, and
Yeah.
you know that's not
Well,
necessarily
There
the
there are
truth. I
other
mean,
options. This where like more my girls are been going. They have some a little more open-minded books. Like
I want to
this one
say
actually.
this is,
Oh, go ahead.
really the people who seem to make their money are the ones who go into that they're going to be writing their own books. Like, of course, I know Mac always likes this guy, but Ibrahim, the one that wrote the Sword and the Scimitar, that's where you have to go out. Is you have to write your own books, because there's not really that much money in education anyway, and
mhm.
it's kind of, people are realizing a lot of it is a scam. It's overpriced. To me, if you can go into there, get something very technical, and really colleges need to start changing very quickly to realize, you can't say, oh, we're going there so you can broaden your life and expand your thoughts. It's like, no, you guys have gone so far away from that. And most people, and I know, ever since I graduated high school, which was what, 30 something years ago, it's like, no, we're going there to get a job. You need to focus on job skills, not on trying to make us well-rounded human beings.
I don't want to be well rounded. I want to be rich,
Yeah. Well,
right?
the problem is you say tenured, but I don't think that a lot of these areas are going to get tenured anymore for history. You can go
Yeah,
to community college is probably where you're going to go for most things. It's not as cutthroat. You have to, that's really what it comes down to. You can get a doctorate, but then you have to get a postdoctorate. So you're looking at 12 to 14 years of schooling. I'm
yeah.
sorry, 10 to 12 years of schooling. And then you have to get the tenure. So that's going to take you another 10 years. That tenureship is not, and I don't think a lot of them are going to be doing tenureships for like history and stuff, because they want to give tenureships to people who bring in money to the university. And those don't bring money to the university. Uh, when I was at A&M, the tenured professors are the ones who got a lot of grants, and we're talking probably $500,000 a year in grants. You're just not going to get that from a history degree.
Go Aggies.
Yeah, exactly. Um, no, I'll be honest. For Max, we got good taste in books. I read all sorts of books from both sides, because one is whether I agree with someone or not, but I love history, both sides of everything, reading it, and it's a lot more complicated. And the thing that people find interesting about history is not the stuff that they teach in school. It's all of the really interesting things, like, well, back in the Old West, the two brothel owners were fighting with each other, and one shot the other one in the abdomen because she took her girl. And, that's the interesting part of history for some of these things, and the personalities and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and everyone
I've been
wants to overlay their morality on top of it, and just realize human beings are complicated. It's not all good or all bad.
yeah, I found this really cool channel about like Wild West history,
Yeah.
and the guy's really cool. I think it's History at the OK Corral or something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, and he even does like streams. He might even be streaming right now for. because he said it was going to
Yeah.
be. He streamed last night. I think he said he's going to be streaming this weekend. So, but yeah, he's really cool, and there's a lot of like Old West. But yesterday he had some guy talking about like horse archers from like the ancient times and the
Yeah.
Huns and things like that, and it's really cool.
I,
And you don't have to, like, I guess, have any credentials to do that. Just get on YouTube and check
you
out.
know
Mm-hmm.
that well, I like Todd Cutler, and I remember someone saying when they were doing their testing against armor and stuff, and I like to see these things. I think, when we all talk about D&D and stuff, it's like, well, okay, how much did swords actually weigh? That stuff. Anyway,
Mhm.
one guy's like, well, this hasn't been peer reviewed. And when it's on YouTube, it's literally the easiest thing to peer review in the world because all of us can try doing their test.
Yep.
Yeah.
I,
I
I've been
don't need.
watching like the last 3 history videos I watched. I don't really call them history videos, but that's probably what they are. One was the 20 like weapons that your grandpa used to carry that are now legal.
Yeah, yeah.
Then the ones that the cowboys carried, and then like the Texas Rangers, excuse me, carried all the the different things that they carried. The uh, from spurs to hat. And then the next one was I can't remember now, but 3 videos on those kinds of pieces of equipment that we should still be able to carry and own, etc. Just owning some of these things, it's illegal. It's like, yeah, but it's a piece of history. You can go, piss
So,
off.
well, I mean, some of the things I like watching are tasting history. Townsend doing his stuff that's more of like
Oh, like
16
Townsend.
to 1800s. I think that's pretty interesting. We've been talking about pemmican and things like that. And then, what is it? The guy who owns Renegade Games and owns Dredge and Peg.
Modern. I think it's
Yeah,
called
modern.
modern history. Modern
Yeah,
history,
something
like,
like that.
but it's all medieval stuff. It's just
Yeah,
kind of funny with it that it's called
yeah.
that.
I like
These.
Oh,
watching.
now I
Yeah.
remember. It was the lapel dagger. Have you ever seen
Okay.
those? It's a tiny
No.
little dagger. It's a little bit bigger than the nail file on your toenail clippers.
Oh, okay.
But they
Yeah.
would sew them into the lapels of the Brits as they were doing spy shit to supposedly if they got caught uh, you know by the Nazis they would have a possible escape tool. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're
is incredibly
poisoned,
optimistic.
they're
One thing I want to
poisoned.
No, no, they
add to.
weren't poisoned. There was nothing, no mention of poison whatsoever. It was just a matter of just a quick stab in the throat and cause some chaos, and then hopefully like grab somebody's rifle or pistol or something. But I'm like, yeah, right. And a lot of them, Mac, are not just like the knuckle duster, brass knuckles, things like that. Those are pretty kind of universally illegal everywhere. But I'm thinking to myself, it's like, okay, when was the last time? And I know you're going to say, well, because they're illegal, nobody carries them anymore. But when was the last time you heard anybody being, anything other than shot or macheted? You know what I mean?
I
You
mean,
never
most of
hear
the time,
about
whenever I
someone.
hear stuff is some blunt force trauma, so that include baseball bats or something like crowbar
Hammer,
or
yeah,
something like that. Yeah, and then improvised weapons is what I really want to call them instead of dedicated weaponry. Um,
right. But
I
believe it or not, there are even some states where even having a baseball bat or any
Sling.
blunt force instrument by the door is premeditated. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
premeditated self defense. But no, 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 no. It's premeditated assault because you were just hoping someone would break in so you could do that.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I
What kind
carry
of pussies are running the country?
well, and a lot of that is you have to look at where you have your stand your ground laws because in stand your ground laws it doesn't matter a lot of times. But no, the like my son and I, we last 4th of July, we took our maces out to go exercise, and there's police everywhere, and they didn't say a word to us. Um,
Right, but
you're
I mean, are we all supposed to? Everybody carry a gun now? Is that? I mean, what are you supposed to stand your ground with? It'd be better if you had a baseball bat than a machete or a freaking semi-auto or a shotgun, right?
Yeah, well, stand your ground just
I
doesn't
mean,
mean you have no.
if
The
you're worried
stand your
about
ground
keeping
just means you
people
don't have a
alive,
duty to retreat. That's all stand your ground is, and people forget about that. It means I don't have to run away. Though in most cases, it's usually better back away anyway, because even
yeah,
if
so
you're
you can get
just
to
a
the shotgun.
well, at the end of the day, well, no, there's castle doctrine and there's stand your ground, two different things. Um, but the whole point is it's still better not to have to go with the police and have to deal with lawyers or anything else with an
Well, that's why you got to
overzealous.
raise
Yeah,
pigs too.
yeah. No, I mean that's at the end of the day, whenever they talk about, oh, it's so terrible, it's like, cars. Hey, it's like I can do all sorts of things with a car, and I was trained to do them by the military. It's not that hard,
Hmm.
you know. Um, it's well, this is why in Germany a lot of people just walked with big dogs, and we're talking like 80-pound German shepherds or larger. Um, that was their
Hmm.
way of protecting themselves just in case. Um,
That's what I thought, Mac.
no, stand
'Cause
your
like,
ground just refers to, that you have no duty to retreat. It doesn't matter what you have.
and
Um,
if you're in your own house, where do you retreat to?
that's a castle doctrine. That's a different thing. Those are two different
No, no.
things.
I mean, if you're in your house, uh,
Oh yeah, and there's states like Shadow saying like it's like you can't even stand your ground in your house.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know that's usually like in Boston and a few other areas that are like
Jersey.
Massachusetts,
Ca-
but Florida is not that way. Florida is
I,
basically
I,
once you come to
I'm
that
of the
door.
mind that if somebody comes in your house, you do away with them and then drop the body off somewhere, because
You
they
know,
ain't gonna
no,
be missed.
you know what? I told one lady, she was super liberal, and I said, "Look, if someone breaks into my house, I'm just going to yell." And I said, "If they run away, no problem." I said, "Guess what? They were trying to steal from me. Get the hell out of my house. I don't have to worry about anything." I said, "But if they stay, game on." Because now you're saying that if you're going to stay, well, while I'm in here, obviously you're not here. You're willing to get into a fight. So that's. Oh, did you see the one in Georgia? Where there's like a, I forgot when it was like 20 years ago or something, but they had a little Asian lady, and they broke into her house. Three guys. It was three or four of them, and the video. I'll have to find the video at some point, but you
I
can tell
think
they
I've
were turning on
seen
the
it.
lights and everything else, and she had cameras inside the house. And they go back to the bedroom, and she comes out blazing. And we're talking like she's like 5 foot against like three or four, you know, young men, and who are probably like 6 foot each or so, and she kills like two or three of them. I mean, in fact, one guy, he hears like they hear the gunshots, and you can see like uh, the dust coming down as they slowly run out the door. She starts shooting him out the door, and one of the guy almost runs into her. He's panicking so much he
Hmm.
runs through the glass door in the kitchen, and I'm like,
I
look,
remember that one.
my view on this is, hey, if you leave, then that's just fine. There's nothing in my house that's that critical for me to have to, shoot anyone over. It's like, just get the hell out. And then I'll call the police and we'll, let them deal with it. But if you stay, then that just tells me, okay, you're looking for a fight. But those are two different things. But yeah, stand your ground just means that if you're attacked, you don't have to retreat where you are out in public. And castle doctrine means that you're allowed to defend your home, which means you can actually come out of your house and confront the person coming through. Um, and Florida and Texas have castle doctrines. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's well. At the end of the day, it just depends on your district attorney.
Very polite
Because,
of here, dude. That sounds better than Texas. To be honest, except for the damn cold.
you know what though, is most people are polite if you get outside of the city. If you get outside of a big city, you're fine. The problem is that if you get a district attorney and he wants to do it and he finds the right jurors, you'll get convicted, or you'll be drugged through like what was that, Daniel Penny over in New York City. They found him
Mhm.
innocent, but it was what, 2 years of going through all that trouble um,
Yeah.
on the subway.
Yep.
So even if you're quote innocent, the problem is that now you have to
The
deal with the legal
process
issues.
is the
Yeah,
punishment.
exactly. That's why it's important to vote for your local district attorneys. So, but yeah,
That's why the whole country needs an overhaul or an
well,
enema.
Well, some of it just comes down to that there are too many people that have suicidal empathy. Oh, but you
No,
can't do
literally
that.
what Max says right here, all of this shit right here,
I know.
everything he said right here should be the way it is everywhere. That's the way it was hundreds of years
Yeah.
ago.
That was the way it
From
was in a lot of places 50 or 60 years ago. Well, depending where you were.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
But
think
no, but I
that's
mean
the,
the original founding of this country. That's the way it was.
that's also where they'd file their teeth and they would bite each other trying to rip out their jugular too. Um, if you look at the Appalachians, that was not, it was, um,
Well,
and then they
you
would
say
have,
Appalachians one more time, and DM James is going to show up and give us an earful.
no, they
So be
used to like
careful.
file their teeth and then they would file their nails. So they were like claws. Um, So yeah, well, like everything
That's a little
is,
much.
it's are you local or not? It's the problem that we have is too much of our federal government and our state governments are from people who were trained in Princeton and Harvard and stuff like this, big cities, um, and they're like, oh well, look at the prestige that we get from this. Like, oh okay, they care less about
Yeah,
the
but
Constitution, more of how to get around the Constitution. Um, Well, I don't know. Like I was called up to jury duty, and I walked in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you've been exempt." Like, okay. It took me longer to find the place than it did. I literally took me. I think it took me.
yep.
I was in the building about 3 minutes, and that includes going through security for jury duty. If you want some areas, boy, you can go out into some. If you go out into those rural counties, there's not much out there.
Right. But
They,
that's not what I'm talking about. I want like everywhere.
I know,
Back to the way
I
it
know.
was. There's no reason for it not to be. You know, if you if you don't start nothing, there won't be nothing.
Well, it was the same thing
Right?
that happened in New York. In New York, they did I forgot which law it was, but they banned the carrying of weapons, and that was really to protect the gangsters anyway, because then the gangsters didn't have to worry about their people defending themselves, and then the
Yep.
police wouldn't enforce it on the gangsters. So it's that's you start realizing that I forgot what the law was, but that was in the early 1900s. It was, oh, since we are in with the police, they're not going to check our guys, but the other ones they can hassle and everything else, so they can't carry guns to protect themselves. Um, and, that's the issue that I have with a lot of it. Is look, that used to be part of self defense, and I always love people arguing with me about murder rates and stuff. And I went, well, then explain to me why the murder rate has gone up in England before you know before they put in the laws for gut reducing your gun rights. They had a lower murder rate than they do now.
Well, I don't like talking about other countries because they all suck.
No, no,
And
no,
they're
no.
not us.
Well, but my point is the same. You can't say that the murders are rated on the weapons. The murders are rated
No,
on on the
like
society.
with the videos I was watching, out of the three videos, almost half of the things you weren't allowed to carry were things that would more than likely incapacitate your attacker as opposed to kill them. No
Yeah,
bloodshed, just a good thumping, you know,
yeah.
versus a stabbing or a shooting. You know, even the bullwhip, you know, or things like that. The lady's riding crop, thing that they used to carry.
What do you mean you're not allowed to go? I know plenty of people carry riding crops. Uh,
Oh, the weighted crop that women used to carry.
oh,
Um, yeah, like
you know,
right out in the
you know
open.
what women have now? It's called a purse. Yeah, that's
Sure, but it was a more elegant weapon for a more civilized
sure.
time, and I was like, that's kind of I'm not gonna say sexy, but it's kind of appealing in that they could be a lady and not not pull out a shiv, but just give you a thwapping if you were getting a little too handsy,
Yeah.
you know. versus now, the best they got is freaking, tear gas, mace, and even then, there's a whole lot of places where you can't do that.
Yeah, I always
There's
thought
a
that was
whole lot of ways
ridiculous.
for that.
It's like, look, well, what gets me about it is you still have assault charges, so you still have to justify it. It's not that things aren't going to do it, but it's like, yeah, if you have mace to escape, then that's fine. If you're macing someone to attack them, but yeah, the whole idea of like, well, we don't want you to
I've
defend
never
yourself.
heard of, except at certain protests, anybody ever using aerosols and sprays as anything other than defensive. Recently, with Summer of Love and Bear Spray, they were using them as offensive weapons. For that, they should be going to jail for life because that's chemical warfare
It's
and
it's it's assault.
indiscriminate.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's assault and with battery, depending on what you do after the fact. But really, this problem that you have is it all goes away if you start convicting people. You have to have the DAs willing to convict it, and you have to have juries willing to prosecute, to follow through with it. Um, I'm sorry, the DAs have to prosecute, and the jury has to convict. But that's what needs to happen. But this whole idea of Mac, no, Mac, it's going to either end up
No
like
worries, man.
it's going to end up probably like the Balkans, is what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Is what's really going to happen. It's not going to be like UK or Germany, which is totalitarian. I think it's going to evolve more into like what happened in the Yugoslavian stuff, where it's kind of the Wild West. so,
I think
and
so.
it's not normalcy. But yeah, no one wants it to end up like Africa or Afghanistan. Um, that's
Yeah.
why I laugh when people are like, well, we're going to do this. And like, okay, you understand that'll end up like Afghanistan, and no one wants that. It's just, at the end of the day, really what it comes down to is you just have to have juries willing to convict and prosecutors willing to prosecute. If that occurs, then that stops almost all of the problems. It's like, hey, if you can commit certain crimes and you're gonna be thrown in jail, then it removes those most dangerous people from there. But I was listening. Have you ever listened to Angry Cops? Yeah, you listen to Angry Cops?
Sorry, I was squirrel. Oh, that's freaking epic, dude. The squirrel sent me a
Sure.
picture. I'll see if I can share it over here. That is to the next freaking level for his paint pots. Uh,
Okay. Well, no, Angry Cops was talking about the guy was known for almost killing someone, had numerous protective orders, and the judge kept releasing the guy or putting the guy on like $10,000 bail, which means that they only had to put up $1,000, and then he'd go out and do it again. I'm like, well, that's the problem when you have that. Oh, okay.
so he's got
Uh,
basically like caps with rocks that have been painted in the color that's
oh,
inside the
okay. Yeah,
bottle, so you get a little bit more to look at than just the cap.
sure.
That's pretty
Oh,
freaking cool, squirrel.
Yeah, but I mean that's where a lot of it needs to come into it is. And that's why a lot of times when you see these protests and stuff, they don't go to small towns. They don't go into small counties. They're just like, oh yeah, we're not going to go there because we will get prosecuted. Because so, I remember seeing that during the Black Lives Matter, and they were all mad. All these people went over, and they're like, no, you have the right to protest. They're like, why can't we go down here? Like, you have the right to protest, but don't get out of hand. And they were mad because these people want. You could tell that what they want to do is they wanted to cause trouble. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, it's just that's what just needs to happen, and we'll find out. Maybe this is why I'm going. This is why you should. What's it called? This is why you should live in certain areas and don't put your
Yeah.
kids in public education. That's what it comes down to.
Well, my boy's out. In 3 days he's out. Um,
Yeah, but your son has been inoculated, and I know my son's been inoculated. But my point is that a lot of the when you start watching the divergence between boys and girls, like, look, if you sit down and talk to your kids, I don't know why that's so hard. people act like homeschooling's so hard. It's not. You just have to. It just takes time, and you should be talking to your kid anyway. Oh, did you see that one guy with Daddy Sauce or whatever, where he was talking about how easy it is to be a stay-at-home dad, and these women are
Yes.
freaking out. These women are freaking out. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
because
that hard.
their grift was laid out for everybody to see, and they didn't want that.
Well, no. What was funny was is that the women that were complaining the most didn't even have kids. That's-
Well, yeah, of course,
yeah, I
nosy
mean that's what.
busybody cat moms.
Yeah, I mean, my mother was a stay-at-home mom, and she did all sorts of stuff, and she admitted that it was super easy. She said, "Yeah, I played video games a lot." She said it wasn't that hard. She cooked me, she cooked me 3 meals a day, and my father generally 1 meal a day because he cooked his own breakfast, and she would do all the laundry and stuff, and it was like, oh, she's like, it's like, yeah, I just do stuff over the week. It's not. I don't understand why everyone says it's so hard. Um, so I just, it's like, yeah, don't get me wrong. I knew women that were like nonstop all the time. And like, good God, you're just exhausting to be around. But those who aren't, it's like, all right. Oh, but I have to do all of this stuff. I'm like, okay, you're not doing that much. You're doing it. You're doing the fun stuff. Now with the little kids, I understand being a lot more work, but
Right, but as soon as they're in like regular school, if they do in fact go to regular school, uh, I know because I did it.
yeah,
Jackie's whole school career, I was a stay-at-home dad. But
yeah,
I saw after years and years and years of how easy it was and like what it would take for me to get to that point to be able to do that. I'm like, yeah, I got enough money put away. I'm gonna do that. I want to be there. Plus, he's a boy, and
yeah.
uh,
It's important to do that. But I mean, like with
I've
my
seen
son,
I've seen what happens. I've seen what happens to most of the boys that are you know
neglected. Yeah,
no, mom only raised.
with neglected, feral. It's, I mean, that's it's like, well, I
Yeah,
can't
that
control
is
them. Like,
coaching.
it's not that hard. I mean, I like with my son, it's like, all right, son, go do this. I don't, beat him with a stick for everything, but it's like, you know, yes, it's hard. He always gets mad about the homeschooling. Well, it's hard. I'm like, I know it's hard, but you don't understand it's hard. I'm like, yes, I know. Now go do your work. Just do it. I said, life is hard. Um,
It only gets harder. This is the easy part.
oh, I know. I know. I still remember when he was, I guess he was like 5 or 6. He didn't want to do his lessons. I don't want to do my lessons. I said, okay, son, you're going to pack your bags, right? He's like, why? I said, well, your mom and I are holding you back, and you need to go out into the world and find someone that can teach you because obviously you've learned everything you can from us. And it was funny. He thought about it for a couple of minutes. He says, well, I don't want to go. I said, well, I guess you're going to have to do your lessons then. He's like, yeah, I'll do my lessons.
That's cute.
No, it's just like, look, I don't want to hold you back, son. You have nothing else to learn from us. It's just like martial arts. You've surpassed the master. It's time to leave because you say that you can't learn anything more from us. Actually, just like I'm not saying that things aren't abused. Of course, I think that there's some stuff, but I think the real knock on certain things is, I really miss the days. When we talk about like back in the old days, we used to let kids like apprentice at a young age. Like 13 or 14, so they could actually learn a trade by
Yep.
the time they were 18. And
Yeah. Well, somewhere along the road, somebody got it into other people's heads that was for the poors.
yeah, but
If you go
now
to college, you get a job where you'll never have to do that crap, but you also never learn how to freaking change a damn tire.
so the South Park had the Pandaverse, which I thought was a lot of fun. And while everyone talks about the Kathleen Kennedy part of it, of put a chick in it, make her lame and gay, you know,
Yeah.
everyone talks about that, but there's a second part of that same episode, and what happens is Randy and all of his friends are mad because like, what did college ever do for us? because all the handymen take over, and they're the only ones that know how to do anything. They're like, "What do you mean I can do this?" He says, "I'm booked up for the next month. You'll just have to wait a month for me to fix this." He says, "What about this?" And so they order a catapult, and they're like, "Well, we have to assemble it." Well, that's okay. We paid the handyman to assemble it for us. So he assembles this the catapult for him, and they fling the catapults at the college and break a window. Like, take that, college! And then you see the same handyman come over, and he stops with his little truck, and he comes out with the window, replaces the window. They're like, "Aw." Yeah, and then the handymen keep getting more richer and richer, and that's why I just have to laugh at, because I think that's kind of society we're going towards. You know, do we need middle managers? Hell, I didn't think we needed middle managers when I was working at Dell 20 something years ago. I said most of their job that they wanted them to do could be done by computer. I said we didn't need this. You just said, "Hey, you didn't meet your metrics." Da 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 da.
Who was the billionaire who just fired, or not just fired, but he recently fired his entire HR, women's staff, network bullshit, and productivity just freaking shot through the roof.
I don't know, and again, the point of HR is to protect the company from stuff, but so I don't
Yeah.
know the full thing about it, but I do know that some of it is, and this is the problem that I found, and this was almost 20 years ago. I would go to job fairs, and they would have Schlumberger and all these companies out there, and I'd say, "Hey, can I give you my resume?" And they're like, "Go to the web portal." Like, you are literally here at a career fair. You should be taking resumes at the career fair, not telling me to go to a website. And then they would have HR people just sitting behind the desk, and I'd say, "What's the job like?" And they couldn't answer the question. Like, that's the problem with HR. You're not even doing what you should be doing of finding people to hire. Uh, that's
Yeah, not to mention uh, with uh, with with all that online, just fill out your application online. Uh, that means that there's a whole bunch of people in between your application ever being read by the person you want to read it, versus somebody might just go, "Oh, I don't like this guy. I'm just going to delete his resume."
well, my friend had that, and
I
we
mean, I
think,
know there was that with handing a resume in, but
well, my whole point is that if you're having an HR department, don't put so many layers that it's hard for them to apply for a job. If you're having a
right.
career fair, you should be taking resumes right there, or you should be helping them fill out resumes. And hey, is this a good buy? Hey, you know what? This is a good person. Hey, here's a phone number. Go call this person up and talk to them. You know, those are small companies that I actually found that that's what they would do, is they would talk to them. It's like, "Oh yeah, here's the person you want to talk to," and they would like hand me the person's phone number that was the manager, not the HR people. And then of course onboarding would be HR, but it was, if the manager didn't like you, then that was different. But yeah, the HR is terrible. It's like, what are you doing? And most of them are doing keywords. The point of HR is to eliminate as many resumes as possible, not to find the best person. Um, we have a guy at work. He doesn't have a degree, but he has the experience, and they kicked him out because, well, he doesn't have a degree. And like, the job description didn't say he had to have a degree.
Hmm.
He's a disabled veteran, which puts him near the top. But they said, yeah, but he doesn't have a degree. So what? The job description doesn't say it's required to have a degree. Again, if the job description says you have to have a degree, that's a little different. But he actually made it past it, and then they didn't want to hire him. And it wasn't his manager didn't want to hire him; it was the HR people that didn't want him to go through. So um, that's part of the problem. There's too many of them get into what I want to call not degree. What am I trying to think? They want diplomas and other stuff, rather than can you do the job for jobs that aren't required. Like, you're a waitress. Why do you need to have a degree in English? Things like that.
Huh.
No, I've seen where they'll do that. It's that's one of the things. Or the other part of the other favorite of things for hiring is must have 5 years of experience. Like, this programming language came out 2 years ago. You can't have 5 years of experience in this.
Huh.
So I I think that hopefully things will start changing for that, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, that's the problem of when you have hiring managers that don't know anything, and then you have HR people that are just trying to cut as many people out, and they don't want to actually like look at resume. You know, and the weird thing is that a lot of people I know get jobs through word of mouth. You know, when we talk about networking, when they were
Yeah.
talking about cutting stuff, and I said, well, if the government fires me, I'll do this. I said I'll go look for another job, and the lady's like, hand me your. You said if you get fired, just send me your resume. I'll have you a job in 3 weeks. I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
Nice. Very
So
nice.
it's so hey, so yeah, it's just things like that. But I but it you got to use those unofficial networks, but too many big companies just don't do them. And then they wonder why they can't find anyone. It's like because you're getting rid of people who are qualified. My cousin, because he did not have a GED, he was a welder, and he was a pretty decent welder, but he didn't want to get his GED. And we're like, this is stupid. Get your GED. But if he got his GED, his pay would have gone up from like $20 an hour to like $35 an hour. Like, get your GED. It's the easiest thing in the world.
You think?
Yeah, I know you don't like it, but you can get a really good. And this was doing military welding work on some of the ships, but the company required that you had a GED.
Nope. That was me.
So
It's like, where'd you go?
anyway, that's what's going on there. We'll see. I think that things are changing for the better in this way. As people want someone that can actually do something nowadays, not just hey,
Imagine that.
trainable
Someone who can actually do their job.
or do a job.
Crazy,
Do a
right?
job. That's it. It's
Oh.
so we'll see. Hey, just
So
like I talked.
George was talking a while ago
No,
about the next Traveler game, and it is going to be the what do you call it? Traveler 2424, 100 years prior to the previous game. It will be. Uh,
Let me get my 3x5 cards.
it's not going to be for months, so
I know
it's
he still has to do his Planet of the Apes game first.
it's going to be. I want to run it in October, like culminate in October, maybe like depending on when Halloween is. Um, maybe we'll start in September through October. Uh, maybe in August we'll start like making characters, that sort of thing. Um, but we need to find at least two more players, right?
Yeah.
That would be
And
good.
off grid is uh,
He's busy playing another game, I think. So
right, and so I'll put the feelers out then. But I've decided that um, just making a video or saying, "Hey, I'm looking for people," isn't enough. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
need to start making like 30-second commercials for the game using AI art and somebody, whether it's an AI voice or hiring one of our friends to do the narrator voice, for the commercial.
In a
Um,
world.
there you go. Yeah. Maybe you're hired, George.
I know the one part of that, I think. Yeah. I definitely want to play Traveler. I'm just like so right now so much in like a Traveler is in my head that I'm like literally watching Glass Cannons play Traveler. And actually they're not
Really
bad. Yeah. Glad it's how
nice.
when I first was watching it and like, oh boy, it's gonna be one of these kind of like, like another what do you call that show? Like a wannabe Critical Role and full of the
Hmm.
things that involve. But yeah, it's Seth Korkowski. He's how I learned Traveler from watching his videos.
Hmm.
It's got
He's definitely good at it.
yeah.
Um,
The other
I'll
guy,
tell you. Go ahead.
oh yeah, the other guy also played it in his youth. Not my kind of people, but they're like, yeah,
Hmm.
they loved the game, and it didn't go weird. It didn't go into weird places, so that was kind of cool. I didn't
I
like how he did it. I didn't like some of the things the GM did, but I just love the system and stuff. I was watching it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like the character creation they did was great. Yeah.
I mean, Traveler, I think, is a very easy system for people to pick up and understand, which is a
Hmm.
big
Mhm.
bonus. Um, I, some of the things are good. Like every system, it has its goods and its bads, but I actually like Traveler. I just prefer the 20. What is it? The 2350 or whatever, or 2300,
2300. Yeah.
because your tech level is limited to 12, which is familiar enough that all the players are familiar with it, and that's the cutting edge. It's like it's
Well, you'll like the 2400 game. I'm not
sure.
going to be using those rules because I was looking at them, and I don't like the percentiles and all the because I've got the original, and I'm like,
No,
this isn't Traveler.
no.
Traveler is
Mongoose
2D6. Damn it!
2300.
What?
Mongoose 2300, which is just
Oh yeah, I'm
basically
not buying that. I'm not
it's just
shelling.
the no
I'm
no
tired of shelling out for games that I'm only going to play once.
okay, no, what I'm
And
referring to is it uses it's it's a setting for 2300 for Traveler. It's a
okay,
setting rather than
which is
it's the
what it
same
should have been.
rules. You're supposed to have the core book, and then it's just the setting stuff for the game. That's what I'm
Mhm.
referring to. It's
Right.
it's not the what was it? It's not the Twilight 2000, which is what 2300 was originally. Was, hey, this is 300 years after the Twilight 2000.
Yeah. Well, you'll like that aspect of the tech. It's 2400.
Yeah,
There will be no light speed or jump or anything like that. It's all slow travel, just really
Steam
fast
drive.
rockets or whatever. Um, the players will be playing astronauts. Um, the mission is to be the first people to land on Pluto. So think of what position you'd like to fill if you were one of the four astronauts
all
that are in
right.
charge of that mission.
I will be the missionary. No, I'm sorry, wrong one.
Shepherd Omen.
No. Well, I mean, there's that, but he also said the position, so I was like, okay, there we go. So the double entendre. Uh,
Yep. I literally walked right into that. But yeah,
no, I no. At this point, I really don't care. I mean, have you watched The Expanse yet?
no. I
You
watched
should.
a bunch of clips on it, and that's the one with Seth MacFarlane, right?
No,
No, that's Orville.
Oh, okay.
no.
Uh,
You need to go watch The Expanse because I think that you'll like it. That says it's more of a hard sci-fi with some politics to it, but I think that
uh-huh.
Yeah.
you'd really enjoy. Because they don't now. Of course, they do have like kind of warp gates near the end, but for the most part, it's all slow interplanetary travel.
Hmm.
With the politics, and then they talk
Oh,
about
okay. Sorry, dude.
zero G and stuff. The first few seasons are really good, and I enjoyed some of the other seasons too. But it's a good series. I think that you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah. There's also books. They came from books.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course. I've heard the books are of course generally better than the. Uh, but no, I think that you'd really like The Expanse, and that one is easily translatable over to exactly what you're talking about.
Where are
yeah.
the picks, Mac?
Um, and The Expanse is on Amazon, so you should be able to get it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
say
love it.
that, but
I like the series.
No.
The whole.
Amazon bought them out and created the extra last 2 or 3 seasons, so it's Amazon's.
Yeah, Mac agrees. Expanse is awesome as well as Traveler, and yeah, and the whole like it's all based on like gravity. So it's like it's not really the power or speed; it's an acceleration. So the whole thing is like
Oh,
you
no,
accelerate as fast as you can.
oh,
So
dear God.
there is some sort of future technology that somebody discovers that basically gives these ships as much power as they need to go at least to starting to approach subluminal speeds, but um, relative. I don't know if they're relativistic speeds, but if they went on long enough, they would reach relativistic speeds. So they go at 1g, 2g of acceleration. So like you're feeling the force as you're accelerating that way. You're standing inside the ship, and the ship's accelerating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ship's accelerating. So
Okay,
you're
this
the
is what
guy
Mac
standing
wanted me
on
to
it.
show you guys. Okay, you win, Mac. You clearly have the cooler paint toppers. That's freaking
Oh,
awesome. Stormtroopers.
Yeah, that would work out really well.
That is very. I don't know where you got those. I'm guessing they
that's
were
it.
3D printed. Squirrels is more cost effective, and you can do it
Just
right then and there. But
I
the
think those heads do a
the,
better
the,
job just because they're
the
larger with
stormtrooper
the
heads are freaking.
I I got a brilliant idea. So have a war game where it's the paint bottles are the things. You just put paint bottles on there, shaped like something like a tank or something or whatever it is the war game's about.
You joke about that, but when I was growing up as a kid, we did everything from salt shakers to pennies to quarters
Yeah.
to marbles. You know,
Well,
that's why when everyone talks about minis, I
Yeah,
said
girls a
that's a
lot
rich
because I
man's
can do.
game.
there is one war
Yeah,
game
it's
that's
funny.
like
One of the kids
it's like
downstairs
putty or
when
something.
uh, yeah, one of Jackie's
You went
friends
quiet
asked
for a
me
second.
because I Jackie had all the Jackie had all the a bunch of vehicles and stuff ready for the game, and he was asking of those Warhammer minis, and I'm like, no, no, that shit's too expensive for my uh, cheap ass nature. I'm not paying those kind of miniature prices and rulebook prices, and uh, there's I don't like anything that much, to pay that kind of money except guns. You know what I mean?
Well, I
And I
mean,
stopped buying guns
I
like 5 years
well,
ago.
like most things is what you do is you just hunt on eBay, and someone's always selling for like low price for miniatures.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't buy Warhammer
Right, but like with
for the game
but
system.
with like most of the games we all play together, uh, they're not going anywhere, and there's no danger of a new edition coming out in a year or two to make our old books, no longer
I
valid.
don't. I would not use the rules for Warhammer for though I would use the minis. Is
Right,
what I'm
right,
trying to
and
say. Is I have
and
we have other systems for that's my point. But the minis you can usually find
right.
people
and
are always
and
selling
with the
armies.
minis, I can go and get. I mean, there's obviously a few situations where you can only get this mini from them. Okay, fine, but in a couple of years, that mini will be discontinued and no longer legal in tournament. Therefore, the price will go down before the price goes back up again. I
Right.
could
Yeah.
get it
Well. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
if I really cared, or I could just go on the high seas or Etsy or whatever at Thingiverse and have somebody print me up something really damn close for pennies on the dollar.
Well, that's what I mean. Is I was able to get like until my son started crushing them, a bunch of towel really cheap because people were selling them. And, people sell armies because they get in tight situations or stuff, and so you're like, oh, I'll get a really good deal for this, which is much cheaper than buying them new. And I was like,
Yeah, but
okay,
I mean,
but I
I
would,
look at it like this. Would I rather play a Star Wars miniature game or a 40K miniature game?
yeah. But my point is I would use the miniatures for some other system.
Hmm.
Like I said, 5 parsecs from home is miniature agnostic. It doesn't matter which switch you're using it for. Same thing with Traveler. If I want to grab minis, here we go. Let me go use some minis from whatever's going on here, and that's what I'm referring to. Is the miniatures. We everyone wants to get locked into a system. Well, that only
Yeah,
matters if you
no,
can
I
play
don't. Sure, let's
a
go.
tournament game.
Come on,
But if
come
you're
on.
playing at
No, no,
home,
no.
yeah, no one cares.
Sorry, guys. The kids were
Sure.
having some sort of
Well, it's just like
roaring.
playing D&D. I don't have to have their minis to play.
Oh
Whatever.
no.
I can use whatever, and that's my whole point. Is that the whole idea of all of this is you buy the miniatures you like, and then you use them for whatever you want to use them for.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to buy tournament legal games because I don't.
No, no. What I meant was is that
Yeah.
when they're no longer tournament viable, they go
Yeah.
down in price for a
Oh yeah.
short period, maybe not a short period of time, but a considerable period of time where you could pick them up, and then after a while they'll go back up because then the nostalgia kicks in for people who are like, oh, I really want those 11th edition miniatures, blah blah blah, because that's when I got into it or whatever, and then they go back to being not just the
Sure.
premium price, but more the collector price,
Well,
and
a lot of
even then,
times. Yeah.
you can like say you can go on eBay right now and find old shit, old as hell, that should be like the most valuable, but for whatever reason they're not because they were opened, partially assembled, partially painted. It's a job lot, like anything. If you look around, you can find somebody trying to get rid of it at a stupid price. I just picked up a book, uh, a Heritage Miniatures John Carter Warlord of Mars miniature war game rule set. I already had it, but when I bought my copy, and it was only about 20 years ago when I bought my copy, it was over $100. I
Yeah.
picked up the second copy for $25 because somebody had it on auction, like a
Yep.
numbskull, and I know damn well if I put that same book up for sale in November, I can sell it for $100. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's
No
just.
problem.
But that's my whole thing. When you look at all of these, it's just like okay. But the other part is, especially with GW, every time there's a new edition, if they don't have a current codex for whatever the army is, the price goes way down.
Yeah.
And then when they bring out the new codex, the price goes back up again. And
Yeah.
it's, but like I says, I hate the 40K rules. I hate the Warhammer rules. So I will use those miniatures for something else, just like my Conan miniatures. I don't need my Conan miniatures to play the Conan game. I will use them in whatever fantasy game is available. Hey, guess what? I need scorpions. Oh, look, there's scorpions in the Conan box.
Yeah.
Now
I
that
was
said,
looking at the monolith box, and I would have bought it last week if it had been in stock, just because it's a freaking phenomenal deal. 255
wait,
miniatures for
wait until August because they're going to be doing the new Conan. So they're probably going to re-release it along with a lot of the old minis as well.
You think so?
No, I know because they emailed me of which reprintings do you guys want done, and then they're going to give some expansions for it. So now they're going to do Zamora
Cool.
and a couple of others out there. And it's like okay, I'll wait until those pop off. But I know it's the same thing for their their Ragnarok box and there's the other one in there. They've got tons of minis. Well, you know how we are. They're minis. We'll use them for our role playing games as much as anything else. It's not like oh you can't use those. Those aren't WotC. Yeah, like I ever care. They're going to
Yeah,
re-release.
right.
They're not going to re-release. They're going to be reprinting the Conan ones. In August, they're going to be doing the Kickstarter, which includes 2 new expansions.
I have a mini painting question. Maybe you might be able to help me.
Okay. Oh,
So I
okay.
have this like clear green. It's like a slime or something.
Yeah.
How are you
Okay.
supposed to paint these?
Are you?
Oh, clear plastic.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like a slimy
Here.
tentacle.
Okay.
Or do I just
You got
leave
a
it like it
couple of,
is?
one. There's that. Okay. The monolith Conan minis, Mac. You got because I've got this green slime miniature here. It's actually a model.
Hmm.
I got to assemble it. It's green clear plastic, but it's funky because it's got some weird, stuff inside and outside sticking out like arrows. And I'm like,
Hmm.
but they're made out of green plastic. You can't see it's right. There's an
Yeah.
arrow. Um, you got a couple of schools of thought. Don't do squat. Leave it as is because that's the greenest, clearest it's ever gonna be.
Hmm.
Okay. Then you got the idea where you can take a watered down green wash or make one out of something like I was just using, which is this Data System Glow. It's a technical paint from Army Painter,
Hmm.
or if you're more inclined, you might like this color, but it separates like crazy. It looks better in person. It's very
Hmm.
neon, or just use a neon craft paint. Go get it like $1.50 bottle of neon craft paint. Take some, add some water and flow aid to it,
Hmm.
and turn it into a wash. Or you could just add water and a drop of dishwashing soap, for your dishes, like Ajax or Palm Olive, like one drop, and add it until it gets really, really. You're gonna have to add kind of a lot of water, but um, it'll create your own wash out of the neon paint, and then just put it where you want so it goes into the cracks and little crevices, and just dries in there.
Hmm.
Okay, so that it's still mostly clear plastic, because with the green and other clear plastics, the magic of it is being able to see through the
Hmm.
plastic, right? So whatever you do that obscures the ability to see through it, you might as well just paint it a lump of clay, right?
Okay.
So use as little as possible to get in the nooks and crannies, and keep as much of the clear plastic. Like I've got some clear plastic water and lava and green sewer water, and I damn near did nothing to it because I'll just put some green paper or red paper or orange paper underneath it, or pictures of actual lava, or water underneath it, so it looks like freaking water. Because that's
Hmm.
why they put it in clear plastic, is so you can see through it, and it gives you a different effect. Like if it's a ghost miniature, well, you want to be
Yeah.
able to see through it. Otherwise you could just paint a regular dude with some like pale spectral pastels, like this color right here. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Like, see this salmon sea foam? Look at the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
That's kind of a spectrally, ghostly kind of color, right?
Yeah. I think you used that recently on something you painted. 'Cause I remember that
Yeah,
color.
because it's a. Actually, I use a different one. I know what you're talking about, but yeah, it's a ghostly color. Like if they ever seen like a cartoon when they color ghosts, they'll use those kind of colors to give the illusion that it's see through. And yeah,
Ah,
don't
okay.
primer it. Don't primer it, because then you just, why is it made out of clear plastic if you
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
see through it? That's the point,
Okay.
is to be able to see through it. Just use a little bit,
So
and
light.
less is more in this case.
So if I do anything, a light touch and very see through. Very okay.
And
I
water it
wonder.
down as much as you can, so that it's like what they call a glaze or a wash, so that
Mhm.
you can still see through even the part that you painted, because it's so thin.
Okay.
I've got a box of clear plastic minis from various places over the years, so that when I want a ghost, I can just go,
Yeah.
or anything like that. I've got portals and pillars and things like that that are all made out of
Mhm.
that different colored clear plastic, so that it's got that
Bless you.
ghostly weird look to it. Because don't get me wrong, I've seen hundreds of painters that can take a regular miniature and make it look like a ghost, or it's glowing, or
Yeah.
something like that, with object source lighting paint jobs. To the point where I've seen people who can trick your eyes into thinking you're looking at metallics, but they're not. It's just black, white, grays, things like that. There's no metallic, but it looks like it's metal, because they'll paint the white shine You know what I mean? The light reflecting. They painted that white that's on it. Like if you've ever seen a cartoon where some dude pulls out a sword and it goes bing and you see the shine. There's no silver color there. That's just black and white and whatever else they
Yeah.
use to trick your eyes. That's like the apogee, in my opinion, of painting. And when you can do that kind of trickery, if you've ever seen like in the old days, the Games Workshop elves, they'd have those big like it looked like a big glass gem on their chest or something, and they would paint that little white dot at the top of the thing, so it looks like this light's hitting that, and you're like, wow, that looks like it's a gem. No, it's just regular colors.
Yeah.
But I, or like in like cartoons, if you've ever seen like anime, where they'll draw somebody's eyes and there'll be little white dots in the pupil
Yeah.
to
Catch
trick
light,
you
they
into
call that.
thinking that's like your look like the light is the ceiling light is in their eye and they're big and wide and you can see the light reflecting. It's just tricks, witchcraft, in other words. And God bless them, those that can do that. I not me, not me. I did see those engine ports that I painted the other day that you were talking about with the pastel blue and the neon yellow. They were sitting in the garage in this box, and I walked by them because I got it right by this door so I could find them easy when I want to assemble the spaceship. And I walked by those engine ports, and I just out of the corner of my eye, I saw that neon pastel blue, neon yellow, and the white the way I painted it. I'm like, it still has that effect if you just glance at it. It's like, oh, it's bright. It's so bright. It's it looks like a flash bulb going off in your face, but it's trickery. And I just followed uh, the specifics. There's very specific um, colors and shapes and ways to paint light reflecting off something without just using like chrome paint, which
Yeah.
does exist. You can get. I saw some last week. Is like they was like it was like mirror polish paint, and I'm like, oh,
I was
that's just cheating.
I was watching what was that show? Tested, what's his name? The Mythbusters guy, and he was doing
Oh yeah,
a
yeah,
prop. He was
Adam Savage.
Yeah, and he was doing a prop from the Blade Runner, the Blade Burner gun. I think it's
Oh yeah,
a
I saw that one. I saw that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was like something about the chrome paint, and then I guess if they wanted to put something over that, it ruined it. But I guess they had
Hmm.
found some product that actually worked where they can go over the chrome paint with, I guess, either a gloss or maybe just a protective finish over
Hmm.
that. So that was pretty cool. I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, that was. I think that's the next thing I want to do is like make a prop, like make something uh, and paint it up. Like make a gun, make a. There you go, 40K.
I'm gonna actually do I just painted the plasma coil white. I'm gonna
Hmm.
try my hand and see if I can do it, and if
Hmm.
not, I'll just shell out for the one that just lights up.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, the ones I was looking at, because you can find these for like $20 on eBay if you just say prop sci-fi weapon blah blah blah. I can't
Hmm.
find any Eldar guns, which bums me out because they got some really cool like thin, sleek weapons.
Yeah.
Um, the PPG gun from Babylon 5 is not worth getting because it's only about this big. It's tiny. It's like the most inoffensive looking prop gun of all time. The only thing that was cool about it was that weird freaking sparking effect it had when it fired.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like four different freaking butane lighters going off sideways.
Yeah.
Um, but I
Yeah.
want
I
to
guess.
get the original Type One phasers, phaser
Okay.
communicator tricorder, because I had the old AMT model kit when I was
Hmm.
a kid. I found it and it had a phaser, a communicator, and a tricorder in it, and you had to assemble them, and they were kid size. So if I got it now, it would be like 1/2 scale. Dinky.
Yeah.
They go for a fortune, but I went through like four of those kits because I would glue them together properly. Then I'd go outside and play with them, and of course I would drop them, and you know
Yeah.
they would break, and you couldn't fix some of the breaks, and because at that time, it was like 1975 ish, and the TV show had been off the air for years, but you could still find the kit every
Hmm.
once in a while at your toy store. So I would grab it, and then I looked at them last year, and they're about $150 for the same kit. And a grown up not knowing any better would buy it now, open it up, going, "I'm going to make me a phaser." Blah blah blah. Open it up and go, "What the shit? I can hold it with 3 fingers." It's a
Yeah.
Munchkin phaser, but you can
Yeah.
find all the different phasers, the Colonial pistol, all that crap for various prices, 3D printed. Just be very careful because, like that one, it looks cool, but the uh, the print lines, because it's a FDM,
Hmm.
you can see them in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. Some of the bigger prints like that, you can kind of see them, and it's not going to look good up close from a distance. It looks fine. What's up,
Yeah.
Legacy?
One thing
So,
I'd like to do would be like a smash build, like where, like, but I mean, it's summertime now, so they're gonna be water pistols at the dollar store and stuff. See
uh
what I can find there. Maybe cobble a couple together, put some pieces on it. Maybe
Oh,
even some.
absolutely. Just the problem with anything from like the dollar store, they work. There's a couple of channels we watch that the guys. That's what they do is they make props for the little sci-fi movies they're making,
Hmm.
and they'll go to a dollar store and buy a couple of different water guns and take a hot knife and cut them
Hmm.
up and break them up into parts, super soakers, etc. But you got to be careful with the glues. Like super glue won't. It's not
Okay.
gonna. Super glue. If you look at it wrong, it'll fall apart.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're going to use super glue, you got to score both ends of the piece, like scratch it up, so that the super glue really gets in there. And don't use an accelerator because accelerators actually make the glue solidify faster, but
It
it's
doesn't have
weaker.
time to
The
act
bond
on
is
it.
weaker. Right. So you'll
Okay.
want to buy like a two-part epoxies, like a good one. Not, and by good I mean anything but Gorilla Glue and anything but what you buy at the dollar store. Like shell out for, you'll pay more for the two-part epoxy than you will for the parts.
Okay. I had some model glue. What was it? They sold me at the store. Let me go find it.
But you can really come up with some really great sci-fi builds from scratch by just going to the dollar store during the spring and summer, stuff.
Yeah. What is this stuff?
What
Is
is
this?
that?
It's something they gave me for when I bought the carriage. It's has a needle and stuff, and
Oh, okay.
it
If it's regular model glue, that will, depending on the plastic, if it's the right stuff, it'll literally melt the plastic together. And the
yeah,
same thing, I think you can use acetone to do that.
it's all written in
Super glue with
German.
Elmer's glue, like a mix. Squirrel, is that what you're saying?
It's
I've never
flammable.
seen that.
Cont-
Blammo.
uh, let's see.
Um,
Oh, all I see is warnings on what's in it, but not what's in it.
mhm. Some acetone will literally also do that. It will melt the plastics together. Not some acetone with some plastics. Some plastics
Yeah.
it might take forever for it to do that. But
One.
just practice or experiment, and when you've got a solid bond, then go ahead and primer it and paint it and do some
Yeah.
wearing and tear. I might do that for the summer. You know what? Let's do that. Um, for one of the summer challenges, let's make a prop sci-fi gun.
Yeah. Put some
I'll
out.
do one of the craft challenges because right now the first one is just the $10 challenge, just to get people starting. But I'll do that. I'll because we made a bunch for Jackie just to play in the backyard, but
Hmm.
they always didn't really stand up to wear and tear. Uh,
Yeah.
But let me write a note because that
I
actually
think,
sounds like a
yeah.
fun,
I
fun
mean,
craft to do.
and I think even like a higher skill level with like you could like put a LED inside or something when you hit the button, it lights
You
up or
could,
something.
I mean, if you're good at electronics, then awesome. Or you could just buy a gun that lights up from like
Hmm.
from. You ever go to the fair and they have those
Yeah,
guys out
yeah,
there
yeah.
selling light up swords and shit, and sometimes they'll have guns that do crazy shit. And if you were to,
We got
uh,
we got one that was like looked like one of those little lighter guns, but when you click on when you put your finger on the trigger, it shocks you.
ah, okay. I use that a lot of my hard plastics. Squirrel says, "Yep, super glue and Elmer's glue, super fast, super bond." I have never heard that. Does it have to be Elmer's, or can it just be any school glue? Because I need to
PVA.
start taking
Yeah,
notes here.
I think yeah. The generic term is PVA glue or something.
Yeah. Okay. And
So just for people who didn't see the video, what's the first challenge and $10 at um,
yeah, just scatter terrain, anything for your tabletop game, but you could only spend $10 on materials. You know, and you know, just something for your game. You know, for like a D&D game or a Traveler game or
yeah.
whatever. Just some sort of game tabletop. It could be a mini. You know, you could make a monster. You could make a wall. You could make a trap. You could make an idol or a pile of treasure or some trees or some shit. Just $10. Uh, June 7th will be when everybody that's in the challenge, you'll have to go to the video and say, I'm in, so I know that you're in. And then you will vote on everybody else's craft, not your
Okay,
own.
that's cool.
And you'll just vote on, you'll just say which one you think is the best. Whoever gets the most votes wins a prize, and then we'll move on to the next challenge. Yep,
Scattered terrain
PVA.
for anything fantasy is anything in specific or
Yeah,
no?
it doesn't matter. Just as
Oh,
long as
cool.
it's for a tabletop board game, war game, or role playing game.
I just replaced the water filter on my refrigerator. Like this could be like a tank in Gaslands or something. This could be like
Right,
like a
right,
gas
right.
station or something.
I,
So,
I do have another challenge. One of the other challenge categories I'm working on are uh, tools or accessories for the hobby, like a paintbrush caddy
mhm.
or something like that. I've got one that I got a great idea, super freaking cheap. But if you paint, you could make something that some people charge 20 to 50 bucks for, and you could make it for less than $3.
Oh, cool.
And depending on how like crazy you want to get with it, um, you could spend a little more money and still get something that's
Yeah.
very helpful and will make all your craft projects look better for $3.
I did once take a like a yogurt tub and I took the lid and I put little X's in it, cut little X's in it, and put my brush. You know how you leave your brushes on the side, they just sort of
Yep, yep, yep,
they droop, and then they kind of dry,
yep,
all droopy. So I
yep.
put little I so yeah, so I put little X holes in the X shaped holes in the Tupperware lid, and then stuck the brushes through.
Yeah,
So
because
that's
believe it or not, the way you're supposed to store your paintbrushes, according to what I've heard over the years, is like this: brush down without it touching anything.
yeah. So yeah,
So
so
the
I would
gravity pulls.
yeah.
That's
So
what
I
I heard.
yeah. So I made that. So anybody give that as an idea to anybody out there, I guess. It looks
And
ugly.
I've got this paintbrush cleaning pot. It's got like a imagine it's a metal pot with a handle, right? So you can carry it like a bucket, but the
Mhm.
handle is actually made of coiled wire. It's pretty sturdy, spring wire. and and the coiled wire is such that you could put your paintbrush in between the coils and suspend them in the liquid instead of
Oh,
just
cool.
dropping them in the cup. It's actually pretty ingenious, but I never use it because it's a pain in the ass to clean because it's
Yeah.
metal. Because it's two metal cups that fit inside each other.
Yeah.
I I should find it and bring it in here and use that instead of this nasty ass, gross looking cup that I'm using. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but
What's this?
thanks,
What's
thanks, Squirrel. I will try that. I've got some uh, PVA glue here. I've got a crap ton of super glue, and I'm going to need all that. I'll actually use that mixture on the next project because well, it's not going to be it's going to be a quick craft that I'll show the viewers. Oben, we can hear your radio or something. Okay, I'm just gonna lower his volume because it's weird.
The funniest comment I get is when people see my husband in
It got louder.
attire and they're like, "You look like
I
you
know, right?
belong
'Cause I don't know what that is, and if it's somebody
every
else's
battlefield." And
show
I'm
or
not gonna lie,
something.
he went
Are we stream sniping now? That's a new meta. We'll just watch
Yeah,
some other person.
Oben, just let me know when you're back in chat, and I'll unmute you because I don't want to get in trouble. That's why I had to close the door because Jackie was having really loud music, and then the other night the wife was playing Michael Jackson at full freaking volume, which should be illegal to begin with, but
Thriller.
I just give her shit because you know
Yeah.
it's funny. Because I don't
Yeah.
dislike the guy
So
at all. I just but
yeah. Who knows? Because yeah,
yeah, the
it's
more craft,
hmm?
more crafts are coming.
Oh,
Uh,
cool. Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
I've got about a half a dozen that I'll be doing myself, and then everybody else can do at home. That'll help them out. And then the craft
Mhm.
challenges. I'm going to try and do like two a month,
That'd
maybe,
be cool. Yeah.
because I know like you and Bo. Bo's already working on his. Mike and
Hmm.
Jen are working on theirs. I'm hoping Grandma will play along because she's a crafty lady and she does that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. I
And
like it because we did me and my youngest who was just patting my head earlier. We did the Halloween challenge with World War II. So where we did a
nice,
tank and
nice.
stuff. So that was kind of fun. So maybe I'll get her involved in this one.
Yeah. I mean, uh, we don't like modern kids don't have like the arts and crafts that we used to.
Hmm.
My son stopped having any sort of arts and crafts in fourth, fifth, or sixth grade. There was nothing. He never brought home anything. No artwork, no pictures, no Mother's Day, no nothing. We did all of that from
Hmm.
kindergarten through high school, some class or another. We made damn sure we made something for Mother's Day. Father's
Hmm.
Day, usually too, at least a card. We'd make, hell, we had an art class up
Hmm.
until the end of middle school as required. We knew how to work with
Yeah.
clay and paint and cut construction paper and stuff like that. If you told or asked your kids right now if they could make a chain out of construction paper, they probably wouldn't even know what to do, right?
Mine might, but we have we don't really go to public school, so
Oh, okay. But you know
yeah,
what I mean? It's like if I asked Jackie to make a chain out of a piece of construction paper, he'd like to have to think about it for a minute. Whereas
yeah,
we know you just cut it in strips, staple, to. I mean, we made hundreds of feet of construction paper chains
yeah.
back in the day.
I made this
Um,
chain link by link.
making something out of clay, and then the teacher would put it in the kiln, and if it didn't
Hmm.
shatter, we'd then paint it, stuff like that, or paint it
Yeah.
and then put it in the kiln. And I know, like it was like first or second grade, I made my mom a combination watering pot ashtray.
That was the 70s. Yes, that would. Yeah.
right? Because I didn't know any better. I was like 4 or 5 or 7, whatever. But
Yeah.
it had a face like an elephant, but it was kind of low dish. It was only about yay tall. But I made the
Yeah.
tube, the spout, the handle, and then along the rim of the edge, I put little indentations for cigarettes, like I'd seen in the ashtrays. And when my mom passed away and I was cleaning shit out, I came across what was left of it. The spout
Ah.
had fallen off, the handle
Ah.
broke off, but I still found it. I'm like, no way, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh.
we
Yeah.
kept it all those years,
Yeah.
uh, and we've got stuff over here that Jackie made when he was 10, 11, 12 years old, whatever. And his mom's like, you got to get rid of that junk, and I'm like, the hell you say?
My youngest made this little hedgehog. I don't know what class it
Oh, that's
was.
adorable. Yeah, see, that kind of shit's priceless. You know,
I found it like in her bag. She couldn't care less about it, I guess. And I'm like, I'm putting it here.
right? Right? Shit's
Yeah.
priceless, man. It's a one of a kind.
Yeah.
Some archaeologists will find it. 1,000 years from now, be
Yeah.
like, oh my god, what was this fabled creature?
Yeah. It was a object of worship, the cult of the hedgehog.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, Bo was like trying to rub it in because I can't get the pink XPS foam.
Hmm.
You've watched Black Magic Craft before, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you can like
It's
to make
like
terrain and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I can only get the little 2x2 sheets. Um, so his craft, he's going to make sure to use that stuff. Just because he knows I can't get
I
it.
might
Except
that might go over $10. I guess to buy a sheet of that, but I guess you can divide it by whatever size you're making.
everywhere but California, you could buy the like 4x8 foot sheets
Hmm.
in various thicknesses. Here, we can only buy it's not even a full foot. It's like 22 by 22 inch squares.
I'm trying to think of why would be that. Why? That's interesting.
Because they don't want you doing that kind of repair yourself. Big repair jobs.
That's bizarre.
It's like an
Because you think it,
insulation.
because we do in Colorado they do like things just like maybe one step behind California and Washington and try to outdo each other sometimes even, but it's like
Mhm.
insulation is like the big thing. Like they're like all about. I mean, to a fault, they're like throwing in it's getting ridiculous in terms of the amount of insulation you need. Used to be R30 in a ceiling. Now then it went
Well,
up to
because where
40.
you live, people can die from the
Mhm.
cold, correct?
Yeah, but this is more like this is all carbon and energy efficiency. This is it's nothing to do with people surviving. I mean, because we get natural gas here and stuff like that, so it's like we're not. Yeah, they're also the same people that want to get rid of your furnace too. Yeah, so yeah, it's not. It's all about carbon and natural gas and greenhouse gases because they're also wanting to get rid of gas furnaces. It's nothing to do with, but yeah, but they do it by zone. Yeah, so yeah, somewhere in California, there's actually charts in the International Building Code, and you'll see like it's almost like a grow zone. You're in grow zone 5. No, I'm in a grow zone.
Mm.
I think I'm in grow zone 5. It's a little warmer in grow zone 6. If you're in grow zone 2, it almost matches zone for zone in terms of for like insulation. And so yeah, so we're in a zone that's similar to where I was from back in Jersey, and every year it just goes up and up and up and up what they want. So like started at 30, went to 46, now it's at 60. Don't quote me on 46. I'm not sure if it was exactly 46. It was like 46 or 49 maybe, but it was 30 and
No,
19,
Roman's still got the
49.
radio on.
And now they want
Roman, if you can hear
insulation.
me, let me know when you want to be unmuted. I'm guessing he got a phone call from his son. And it's funny too because uh, I right before I redid my house and garage and piping and everything, I had I kid you not, like more than 2 cubic meters of styrofoam, the
Hmm.
white stuff. saved in sheets and strange shapes over the years that I was gonna build a full freaking 8 foot long castle.
Well, that'd be
And then
cool.
I got a Proxon cutter and a little bit of XPS foam. I'm like, yeah, I'll just make it out of XPS foam. So I tossed all of that. I still have like a big freaking like
There's
you know
this.
those water coolers, where
Mhm.
you put a sparkless bottle. Well, I've got the box that the cooler came in full still. That's all I got left of the white styrofoam that I got to throw away this week when trash pickup comes. I was just saving this crazy amount of white styrofoam
Yeah.
for absolutely no good reason. Now that I think about it, I started
I,
saving it when we got here because we moved in and we unpacked a bunch of stuff and there got some new appliances and got a crap ton of this shit. Thought,
mhm.
okay, I'll use the Proxon. I'll cut it into walls and battlements and yeah, no,
The what's his name? Ever watch Frankie something like Frankie D? He's like a guy from Mexico. He does like terrain stuff for his YouTube channel.
no, never heard of it.
It's really cool. I like it. He did like a goblin temple for his D&D campaign, and he used the old style, expanded foam sheets. And I guess the way it looked when he painted it, it almost looked like cobblestones and things like that. And he painted it in kind of a really, really cool kind of sandstone look to it. And I remember that came out really good because you see it used that texture of the sort of the little granules that are inside that the expanded foam.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of things you could do with that. Like you
Oh,
could break it.
certainly, certainly. I,
Yeah.
I, we've used it in the show. We used that, exclusively that to build. I don't know if you ever saw the desert island we made, the
Oh no.
volcanic island.
Oh,
We took
cool.
one of those big sheets of the pink stuff that we could get. That's the base,
Hmm.
and we built an island. It's this spiral volcano stairway around this volcano that goes all the way up to the top. And I kid you not, the volcano's like almost 3 feet tall.
Oh, neat.
and we glued all the styrofoam to it, and then to really make his mom freak out, not just because we were making this giant volcano, we took a barbecue lighter
Hmm.
and melted all of the styrofoam up into this big mountainous shape, and then made styrofoam stairs going all the way up to the top. I'll show you a picture. It's still on
Yeah,
top of our
that
refrigerator.
sounds so cool.
But it took us like 4 videos one summer to make this thing, and it was awesome because, she, I think in on camera I gave Jackie the barbecue lighter. All right, start melting it, and he's like, he's having a blast, and we only did that for a little while inside just to
Yeah.
freak her out, but we did it mostly out in the
Well,
backyard.
Did,
Um,
did you
what really
did you
freaked
hook?
her out was the little figure right there as they show, her being sacrificed to the volcano king.
Yeah.
So
I don't
I
know
even
what.
took some of that polyfill from inside like a stuffed animal and a couple of tea lights and lit up the volcano. So there's this big plume of black smoke coming out of the volcano, but it's lit up at the bottom, flickering. It looked freaking awesome when we
Did
were
you did
done.
you did you hook it up like Greg Brady when he he built the volcano and
No,
it
no, 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 no,
spilled?
no, no, no. Because I knew he was never going to get that experience in
Hmm.
school of making the baking soda or whatever volcano. So it's like,
Hmm.
okay, we're going to do this because we were doing like back then we did themes for our crafts. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, it's winter, so we're going to do a bunch of Christmassy winter themed crafts. Okay, it's summer, let's do some beach and island and shit like that, and did a bunch of taking rubber sea creatures and turning them into monsters, and all that fun stuff because they just didn't have anything like that in school anymore. And he knew how to use a glue gun and super glue and clay tools and milliput and all that stuff before he was out of middle school.
you know what
Stuff that they don't teach anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, what they used to do, and I heard about this, was they were so worried about the grades going down that they cut out all the fun stuff out of
Yep.
classes, and crafting and everything else. But they were showing, when people talking about Japan, and they showed them that those kids actually had a lot more kind of recess style stuff on top of the regular recess than the
Hmm.
American kids did. It's like, well, yeah, you wonder why kids don't like going to school. Oh, I can't
Right.
talk
Well,
to
I
my
think I
friends.
think that was part of it. If you go to school and it's nothing but work, 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 and you don't actually have an arts and crafts class or time, to play with paste and construction paper and macaroni noodles and all that silly stuff, you don't really have as a kid something to look forward to when you go to school, except in a lot of cases, for like inner city kids, a lot of disappointment and ridicule and all that stuff. But arts and crafts for me, whether it was drawing or painting or whatever, was like the height of the day, and so a lot of us back then we excelled at you know, absorbing those skills and those things. I remember this one thing, this project we did in kindergarten. I still remember it today. Wish Grandma was here because she'd know what I'm talking about. We took a piece of paper, right, just a regular piece of paper, and we took crayons, and we were told to scribble like crazy and cover the entire piece of paper with crayon scribbles, right? And
Okay.
when we were done, we wrote our name on the back of that. When we were done, she took each one of those, excuse me, and she covered each piece of paper with black India ink, right? Let it
Okay.
dry. And then we were done when we were given back a big sheet of black, stiff paper that had our name on the back. And then she gave us, I forget what, some sort of like sharpened barbecue skewer or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And told us to draw a picture on the black side. And what would happen is we would draw, and it would take off just a line of the black India ink, revealing the neon colored crayons underneath.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And
I think
you draw a picture, and it would be a
like a
black,
scratch off.
black. Thank you. And I remember to this day, it was freaking, it was so much fun. And it had, I'm a big neon guy and glow in the dark and all that stuff. So when we were done, we had these sort of trippy, sort of, black light postery looking works of art, with, made out of random colors, poking through the black ink.
Well, I
And
just, I
I've never
just
seen anybody
certain
do that
things
since.
that they, just a lot of stuff they did for younger kids, and they wonder why the kids misbehave. But I remember for school, they would let us run around in the morning before school started. They would,
Mm-hmm.
we had PE, then we had
Mm-hmm.
recess, then we ran around after lunch. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, oh, okay. So you had a lot of time to burn that energy out of the kids. And nowadays it's like,
And then
no,
sit
that's the
down and
first thing they
listen.
cut is recess and several other things. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, and I could, I worked at daycare for a bit. You could tell when the kids had not been run around. It's like, and then they wonder why these kids are like misbehaving in class. Like, no, you gotta wear those kids out.
Right.
And I don't know.
Even now, in high school, I had PE every freaking day. There was no getting out of it. Every day, one period of PE. Out of the 6 periods a day we had, 6 classes, one of them was PE. I was smart. I made it my 6 period class so I could, as soon as I'm done with PE, I would just go, Coach, I'm going home. All right, later. No shower. I
Yep.
got out, 15, 20 minutes early because one, I didn't like the idea of showering with dudes. Sounded kind of gay to me. And then, I was out, at the bike rack waiting for my friends or whatever, you know, uh, or meet them at the liquor store, so I could get a couple of quick games of whatever video game before the crowd would get there, stuff like that. They only had PE once a week in high school.
Really, for me, I not that I had to do it every day, but I
Once.
know in high school, I think we had to have 2 years worth, and that was, every day for basically, I think it was either 3 or 4 semesters. So I can't remember exactly what it was. Like, okay, fine.
Every year, one class of the six, uh, and we I think we got two electives, but one of our classes had to be PE, and if we pass reading, we could then go into something else like another language, which of course I graduated. I've passed that in ninth grade, I think. No, I don't remember, but we got two electives, and for PE we had choices of swim, regular PE, weightlifting, archery, track and field, and baseball or football.
Yeah, I mean, so each of the
It made
classes
us
that
stop.
were like sports, that was their own class. ROTC counted as one, but the regular PE class, they just like they did everything. They did archery, they did this, they did that. It was like,
I think it
hey,
was
for a
the
week you
first
do
two. I
archery,
think it might
for
have been
next
the
week you do
first
this.
year or two where it was just general PE,
Yeah,
where they would run you and get you through a little bit of everything except archery. Flag football, you get baseball, a little bit of wrestling,
yeah,
stuff like that. But then I don't know, Jackie. They did have wrestling and football and stuff like that because one of a couple of his friends took wrestling, but he never had any class like that except on Fridays. He would just go to school in his PE uniform. I'm like,
okay.
once a week, once a freaking week. Oh my god! I mean, from K through 12, eh, every day we had PE. And then you know we rode our bikes or walked to school, rode our bikes or walked home,
Oh my
and then when we
God, I
got
don't think that children walk home from school anymore at all.
they do in high school and some elementaries or some middle schools if you're close enough. But
But
you're right,
I mean,
parents.
my
Uh,
local middle school and elementary, they have a crossing guard, but like no kids walk to school, even if they're within a mile. And I'm like, people act like a mile's that far. I'm like, it's not that far for kids, depending on how much they carry. But you know,
mhm.
that's the other thing. It's like, oh, okay. And I was like, what are you talking about? If I was going to send my child over to school, it's like you're going to walk, son. It's,
Mhm.
I
And
yeah. Then they
at
wonder why
first,
kids are
I'm
fat.
not going to lie. I was when I saw how far it was that I was going to have to like walk or ride him to school in kindergarten. I'm like, this kind of sucks. But then, after like the first week, I'm like, this is awesome. We're having a blast.
Yeah.
Uh, go because we had this big desert patch that we had to go through with a sort of a winding path, and we'd see snakes and lizards and crows and rabbits and squirrels and roadrunners and all kinds of cool shit that he was like maybe two or three other kids had something similar to that experience. Everybody else was taxied to and from school in the back seat of their parents' car with freaking tablet or a phone, not even looking out the damn windows.
I just remember being in the
Same
bus.
with the
Don't get me
parents.
wrong, the bus had its own issues, but I remember going to school on the bus a
Sure,
lot of
sure, sure.
times. But I
Yeah.
still
I
remember
took the bus
walking to school.
when I to one school for a short period of time. I took the bus, and
I think I
maybe
took the bus to school. Let's see. So I did it in middle school. I did it for a year and a half in elementary school. Well, mid first grade. So okay. So it was only like 3 or 4 years I took the bus. Is my guess. The rest of the time we lived close enough that we'd walk to school. So it was like, all right.
Yeah.
Um,
We I think I took I lived where we could walk for up to about fourth grade, and it was
yeah.
more of an urban environment. There's a pizza parlor we could go to get lunch at. In between us and the school, there was a couple of things. There was candy store. I remember one candy store that was there on one side of the street. Broke
we had a
in
head
that
shop.
one. Here you go. I think one of the candy stores was a head shop, but you just didn't know.
Yeah,
They had a
that's
pinball.
where
Oh yeah,
I
they
got
had
my
these.
first issue of the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers and Fat Freddy's Cat comic books, and something else by R. Crumb. Uh, that's the only reason I was there. Really, honestly, swear.
There
Um,
was this they had pinball machines. It was like just before. I mean, maybe video games might have been starting. It was just before I remember my first video games. But yeah, the pinball machines were fun. Just really cool pinball machines. It's like big red monster guy on the pinball machine. Remember that, and had like sound effects and all sorts of cool stuff. And then
I miss all
like
that crap.
yeah,
Pinball machines, the first video games. My
yeah,
grandparents, they used to actually do a lot of not just video game arcade machines, but vending machines and stuff. Remember Seawolf? Remember that
no,
It
game?
sounds
sounds familiar.
familiar.
You literally had a periscope, and you would just do this,
Yep.
looking
Yep. No,
for, and then you
Yeah,
love that game.
I
It
remember
was so
Seawolf. I
it
did.
was barely a video game, to be
Yep.
honest, because it was more like practical effects. Believe it or not, mirrors and things that moved physically, not like digitally. But and they had pinball machines and foosball and air hockey and all that crap. You can't even find an air hockey table. You remember how you
No, I
used to go to
can. I
the
would always take my dates on air hockey because they would have to lean over, and if they wore like t-shirts, it was really nice.
no, I mean Owen, I mean buy one. We used to have one in our
Oh,
house.
oh no, no. I mean, but I like that's
Sure,
one of the
go to the
things.
arcades. There, that I know you can find
yeah.
them, but can you find? It's probably easier to find a foosball table to put in your basement or whatever,
Oh.
even here in California, than it is to find an air hockey table.
Well, the problem is the air hockey table, just like the foosball table, takes up so much room in the house. You know,
Yeah.
that's the real issue. But no, I mean, every time I go on a date, that was one of my things. Is I would always say, "Well, we're going to play air hockey," and so the women were like, "Oh, okay." And these were women in their mid-20s to 30s, and I was like, "All right."
The same thing with pool tables. The last mind you, this is a while ago. The last couple of bars I went to, not a pool table to save their life. Back in the day, they all had them, at
That's true.
least one, if not four.
I
And
remember
it's
well, in Amelia, it's
yeah,
been 20 years since I've gone to some of those because I just didn't like going out to drink. But we would go out to places
I
and
didn't. I wasn't so much into the drinking as I was into playing pool.
no, I understand. But what
Me
I'm saying
and my friend
is
Ron.
whenever we went out to the
Uh,
bars, most of the places were actually, I mean, they were nicer pool halls, but they made all their money from selling drinks. Is my point. So
yeah,
yeah,
right.
and so they would have
I had
like
this place right.
30.
I had this great little place right around the corner from my house. I mean, it wasn't even a 5 minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and me and my friend who passed away last year, we'd meet over there like every freaking Friday. Uh, Either we'd meet at my place, go out to dinner, and go to DVD Planet, and then end up there drinking, or some variation of that. I heard, who was it? Were you there, George? We were talking about someone wanting to bring Blockbuster back.
Yeah, I think I remember something about
I
that.
think
What
there's
was
one blockbuster that still exists, but yeah, I saw that. I was like, I don't think that would work. Um, I mean, looking where I am, there are at least 3 pool halls within 5 miles of me right now.
well,
Really,
Yeah, at least 3, and there's it looks like there may even be more. It looks like there may be 8 or so. Um,
really. One
it's
more
hard
reason
to
to get my
tell.
house to pieces.
Well, like
I was
O'Brien's
never
Irish
great.
Pub that has
I was never
one
great
here.
at it, but I
Yeah.
grew up. I told you, how my mom would take me to the CB radio React meetings. They were always at a bar, and there's nothing for a freaking 10-year-old kid to do. Couldn't drink, so I would play pool, and it was nice because like some of the grown ups would play, and there was one guy he'd always let me win. He was really cool. Because I could barely reach the freaking table, but it was
pool
just like, you know, one of those
pool
things,
table
they,
pool table would make a good wargaming table.
right. Back in the day when Marlboro cigarettes were doing those little things where you save the UPC symbol for gear, I
Mhm.
had enough points to get the pool table. It took 10,000 packs of cigarettes, and I just had all my friends give me their little coupon things, and I was ready to mail them in to get one of the 10 pool tables. And then I read the fine print of the pool table. You had to get the signature of 10 of your friends on there who were all part and co-owner of the pool table,
Interesting.
which meant when the pool table arrived, those people would legally be part owners of my pool table. I'm like, what the shit? Because some of those were going to end up in pool halls or bars, and the last thing some bar owner wants is to, you know, hand that paper over to like 9 of his buddies and go, "Hey, can you sign this?" One of those jackasses is going to go, "Well, I get to play pool for free for the rest of my life, don't I?" You know what I mean?
Yep, you get the
And
tontine. Whoever survives gets the last survivor gets this.
mhm,
Yeah,
mhm, mhm.
I'm thinking of good times
I,
there.
I literally, I literally had two of everything Marlboro ever gave away until my ex swiped all but one duffel bag. I had two tents, two sleeping bags, two backpacks, two Swiss Army knives, two pocket watches, two of every article of clothing, the T-shirts, just a crazy amount of cool camping gear. And when she split up, uh, she somehow grabbed it all. Like that gear was good. That gear was solid. Those backpacks and sleeping bags, top of the line. I hope she got ate by a bear. I mean, I paid for the shit, but I think it was in her the trunk of her car, and she just like you know spazzed out. We broke up and never saw it or her again. Every once in a while, I'll go on eBay and look and see if that stuff's available because it was like I said, some of it the duster. There was a Western style duster that was leather on the outside and like rain canvas on the inside. It's pretty freaking sweet.
Neat.
All right.
But
Well, I'm
I've
gonna
been
head off,
going.
guys. You have a good night.
You two, I'll see you tomorrow
Sure.
at game time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Should. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Take care, man.
See you, Omen.
Okay. Bye.
But yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos lately on historical survival equipment,
Hmm.
like fire starting things and water purification and like there was this awl I learned about
Hmm.
for barrel cactus that you'd use to kind of like puncture it and drain the water properly, not like you always
Okay.
see in the movies where they just freaking take a machete and cut off the top and drink it like it's freaking Sparkletts water. No, that'll make you sick. Um, and
Yeah.
and
Remember they had
like
something like that in Hunger Games.
uh, I learned that the mesquite plant could actually, if you find them, which we used to be all around here, would give you if you took the seed pod things, you could make a flower out in the middle of nowhere by just crushing the either the seeds or the
Mhm.
seeds and the leaves that held those things. We used to see them as a kid. And there would be these long stringy like string beans, with little seeds in them, and we take them out and throw them at each other and shit like
Yeah.
that. And I never knew they had any actual value. Like, huh? One more tool in the toolbox should I ever get stranded out in the middle of freaking nowhere on my way to Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I learned somewhere like acorns you can, but you have to like let them rinse out in a river or something for like a week or two to make flour from
Yeah.
that.
There's a lot of uh, stuff like that, like the white bark, not the white bark, but the white stringy stuff on the inside of pine trees. I didn't know you could eat that shit.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, yeah. The Donner Party was surrounded by food. They had no clue,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Ah, yeah. The
right?
yeah. So there's well, let's see what other survival stuff I can pull out there.
And the friggin' Indian guides they had with them didn't know that one either.
Oh, I've been watching some things are like a guerrilla gardening or something, where you
Uh
just
huh.
like plant certain plants in just random places, like on the side of the highway or something, or the grass
Really, that's
verge.
awesome. Well, you know where that
And
got started, of course.
where?
Well, with weed farmers.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. It's like I don't know
Out here in
whose that
California,
is.
that
It
used to be kind of
belongs to
famous.
the DOJ or something. This is a it's
No, no, no. Weed farmers would have covert farms because all it
hmm
took was like one or two plants, and you could make thousands of dollars
yeah.
back in the day. And I heard about it growing up all the time. You know.
Vaguely heard, yeah. I vaguely remembers hearing about like park rangers having trouble with that. And dangerous
Yep,
too.
yep,
There's
yep.
some dangerous people.
The neat
So
one I think that helped me the most this last month was the taking like chicken wire,
hmm
and there's a contraption you can make that will help you collect like moisture out of the air, turn it into water,
oh,
basically.
like Dune or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even Star Wars. Uh, now I
Moisture
don't know how
farmers.
much
Yeah.
I believe it, but I filed that info and I've got all the
Yeah.
ingredients to do it. You know,
Yeah.
should some shit happen and everybody leaves where I live, I'm staying. You know, and I'll
hmm
watch them leave and I'll go when they're gone for like a couple of days. I'll go to their house and take the extra water out of their water heaters first,
hmm
while I'm rifling through their stuff that they left behind. Um, but you know, if it gets really bad, it's like, well, shit. Why doesn't like everybody do that? You know, why doesn't everybody have one of those just built into their freaking house or their
Yeah.
backyard as just like standard? If you could literally, get a couple of gallons every day for free,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot of it depends on where you are. So one guy trying to do it, but he was like in the middle of New Mexico somewhere, like really dry, and it wasn't
Mhm.
working for him, or he couldn't get it to work. But maybe someplace like here or someplace like where you are, it's a little bit wetter. You could get it done.
Oh no,
It's still
it
good.
rains like once a year,
Okay,
but
the
uh,
thing is, the moisture hasn't been taken from. So a lot of the rain comes from like when it goes up in the mountains, it cools down and then it precipitates out because of the dew point
yeah,
has reduced. So by the time it comes, but you may be getting moist enough air to get it out of the air and take
mhm,
it before it gets hits over the Sierra Nevadas or something, and
mhm.
then it drops its
I'm
rain
I'm
there.
definitely gonna experiment with it because I've got,
hmm
like I said, all the component parts, and I'm like, you know if I could make it work,
Yeah.
you know,
Is there like dew in the morning where you are? Like does it
yeah,
is
yeah,
it?
there actually is. Uh, Mind you, it disappears after a while, but
Yeah.
if you do the stuff, and funnel it into something,
hmm
you know.
Keep it from evaporating.
The thing is that I was picturing it though. If everybody did that, what would happen? I mean, like if everybody in the United States was like, actually, it was like part of code now. When you build an
hmm
apartment or a house, you've got yourself your own little vaporator built in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That,
How much
it,
would that actually affect the environment?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, would it like make it so that you can't like get like would it affect it so like there's less rainfall in like the Colorado River or something like that?
Right,
Or
right,
would it
right. I
be
mean, if you're
yeah.
talking like, a billion people doing that,
Mhm.
in the United States or whatever, have 500 million people doing that all
Yeah.
in the United States. I know it's less than that, but would it like have an effect? Or
Yeah.
would it actually be a benefit because it's not getting wasted,
Yeah.
and you would use less electricity and less gasoline or whatever they use to pump water
Mhm.
the way they do. If it
Yeah.
went straight into a a cistern or something like that, and then filtered to where 10% of your water was actually recycled right off the bat.
I
You know.
remember there was this watching Shark Tank, one of those shows,
hmm
and there was this guy. He had like a cooler that like literally pulled the water out of the air.
I saw
It
I saw one of
they
those for sale 6 months or so ago, where
mhm,
you plugged it in and it would do just that. It would make you like
mhm.
2 to 5 gallons of water a day, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well, if depending on where you live, I don't know. Yeah, because we used to, back in Jersey, we used to have a dehumidifier, which basically was this. That's what this thing was, um,
uh huh,
and it would pull all the moisture out of the basement, which it had a decent effect in the basement because the basement was so musty, um, so much just rained so much, but
right, right, right.
that seemed normal to me back then, but nowadays it's like we don't really get much rain here either. It's like we
No,
do
but
get
I
more
mean,
than you, but
and if you're like the only guy, for 100 square miles that's doing that,
hmm
you're set. Because
yeah,
we go through just for drinking water, we go through about 15 to 20 gallons a week. Just
okay,
because we mostly drink water. Everybody
yeah,
here, we don't buy sodas, or we buy a little bit of juice for the boy, but everybody
hmm
else is like coffee, tea, or water,
yeah,
which means water, water, and more water. And I was like looking at they were like $1,500 to $2,000. I'm like, I wonder, how cost effective that would be, over the course of years, because you'd have to measure it
yeah,
in
and how long it
years.
would last,
Right, right, right.
how much
Because
electricity it
it's
uses.
got to have like you know filters that would need changing or replacing,
Yeah,
and if you don't have electricity, then you know it ain't working. But
yeah,
if you could make something that just collects dew and things like that, then you don't even need to pay. You don't even need electricity. So
yeah.
I'm thinking about these things not just because I'm a prepper and survival and stuff like that, but I'm also thinking about one of the next games I want to run, which is kind of a colony ship kind of idea.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
But
I think
so I'm thinking,
how.
how how is that going to work? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Does humidity build up in a ship? How does that? Yeah, like it's gonna
well,
be
I mean,
yeah.
if you're growing food, then it would
Hmm
have to be part of all of that.
yeah,
Just like the people would end up as mulch when they're
yeah,
dead. There's no, burial at space, and they just say shoot your body home. No, you're going into the like in Dune, where they recycle everybody and everything.
yeah,
You would do that, and uh, would they get to a point where they're like recycling you, but in the like old fashioned way, where they're using your bones and sinew as string and things like that, or would they just grind you up and throw you in the corpse starch machine, or would
yeah.
you just become fertilizer for the next batch of Soylent Blue?
Yes, yeah, especially if it's like a colony ship or generation ship, and it's like you start losing material on a trip between, let's say, that's going to take 100 years or something.
hmm
Yeah, you can't just like like the Spock space burial. You can't do that really because you're starting. Oh, now the craft has 100 kilograms less of matter, and now you're like,
Hmm.
okay, where do you got to get it from? You're going to get it from some rocks that you catch along the way. I think it was
Well,
that was
that's
one of
part
the,
of it.
yeah.
You'd literally have to be building a combination, uh, housing structure, factory, warehouse, farm,
Mhm.
along with a propulsion system, etc., to make it work. Because
Yeah. You
the
ever watch?
the distances just between here and Alpha Centauri, Proxima Centauri, is like 4,000 years or some shit.
Yeah.
The people who get there
Yeah.
aren't even going to remember what where unless you indoctrinate them on a regular basis. Go Team America for 4,000 years. By the time they
Yeah.
get there, there isn't even an Earth.
Yeah.
Or it's
And you're gonna have,
drastically changed or what have you. The colony ship is like the only viable way to do any kind of travel, but the
yeah.
repercussions and the results are so far reaching and long term that there's only a couple of reasons why it would ever be worthwhile or feasible.
Yeah.
It'd have to be pretty
I think
drastic.
you'd almost have people on board would almost have to think of themselves as more like living on a space station that's just not going to be near anything.
Hmm.
Like like an O'Neill cylinder of some kind that's just been shot out at near relativistic speeds, maybe, and then maybe you might be able to cut it down a few generations. Like maybe the the I remember I think it was Isaac Arthur or one of those channels, and he's like, there's going to be that cool captain that's the guy who started the voyage, and it's going to be the cool captain that finishes the voyage, and there's going to be some captains in between that are just kind of the in charge of the in between stuff that's never going to be remembered.
Hmm.
The
And even then, when they get there, are they going to be able to leave?
Yeah,
Will they be so
yeah,
drastically changed that they won't be able to survive anywhere but inside the colony ship?
yeah. I could
And we
imagine.
can't. We know that even though I'm going to be using uh, suspended animation, freezing, whatever you want to call it, for the Traveler game. That's one of the hand wavy things you got to do with Traveler is,
Mhm.
you know, cryo suspension, even though that kills you because it shatters all your cells from the freezing process. There's no way to
Yeah,
do that without, basically murdering the person when you put them in cryo. All their cells, explode from the freezing process, and there's no freezing process that won't do that because that's how physics works.
yeah. The
But
yeah,
I'm still gonna use it anyways.
yeah, yeah. Some fascinating stuff. You watch Cody's Labs? It's like a guy. He's from Utah, but I think he's most now. A lot of his episodes are in Nevada, kind of out by Elko. Um,
No.
so he's like this young guy. I think he's a chemistry major. He has a YouTube channel. He's sort of like fooling around on his dad's property, like digging his granddad's old mine out and trying to see what that's like. And he does some chemistry videos. Like he was like made a toilet that flushed with mercury, like a flushing toilet with mercury. That was kind of funny. Lead
No.
stuff, and he also was into his dad's a farmer, I guess, so he knows a lot about farming and growing stuff.
Uh,
And he's very interested in space, so he does these algae tanks and things. And so he
okay.
bought this property out in Nevada where is he got these big plastic containers used for mixing chemicals in. In this case, I
Hmm.
think it was he made sure it wasn't anything that was too nasty. Like one was some cosmetic stuff, and it's pretty long. Like it's about maybe 6 feet tall and 6 feet in diameter, maybe about 20 feet long or so. And he had several of these things, and he took them out this property, kind of stabilized them in terms of they wouldn't roll away, and started gardening inside of them and then seal them up and things. And he's got this kind of whole environment thing going on in there. And he's having various, and it's been several years since he's been doing it. And now he's got like a pressure chamber going on in there. Like he's taken other equipment. Like he's got like a kind of a water tank and it's got like a pressure. It's got like another thing floating on it to maintain the pressure inside the habitat that he's made for the plants and things. Like he's literally trying to like being almost like a Martian. I guess a lot of it's pretend. The theater of the mind on the other end was like, okay, I'm pretending that I'm putting on a spacesuit and go to the habitat and going to check on the pea
Hmm.
plants or something. It's really cool. It's got some. It's called he called it chicken hole base, where he's got like he found
Never
this
heard of
rock.
that one.
It's really
Heard of
cool.
speaking of Arthur Isaac, is it me or has his speech impediment disappeared because he's using AI?
I think I remember somewhere about a couple of years after found him. I remember seeing a video where he's been taking like therapy, doing some kind of speech therapy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it
Because
could
I was
be
watching
AI
his
though.
videos where he's got the vest, and he looks all
Got a little
exactly like
lariat.
you picture. He looks exactly like how you picture him, right?
Yeah,
And
Elmer
I'm
Fudd.
like, yeah, uh, and I'm like, he doesn't sound the same, uh, and maybe he's just an awkward guy, but I could have swore that the videos of him were, fake. Kind of like when I watch Professor Feynman, and
Hmm.
he's moving and stuff, and he's been dead for 50 years,
Yeah.
Um,
It could be that he's using AI or doing some kind of voice thing, or maybe he's just if especially if he's reading off a script, he's really editing it and using something to fix those things. It could be that. But I remember him saying like he did through some classes because he literally deleted like his earliest videos because of his speech issue.
that's too bad. Because
Yeah.
I've been watching him for years. Then I
Yeah.
stopped for a while, and then I happened upon him again. I'm like, hey, this guy's
Yeah.
making some improvements, and he knows his shit, you
Yeah.
know. Uh,
Yeah.
and I've been watching that other channel that I'm not going to talk about because I don't want it to get popular because because it's all AI, but I think
Mhm.
it's really done well, and a lot of people hate it, but I don't want it to get so popular that it changes. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that'll happen. Not like it's gonna, but it's also giving me ideas for some of my upcoming games, and I don't want people to know where I got my ideas either, because then they'll just go watch ahead and go, "Oh, I know what's happening next," which is not really the way I'm using it. It's like one little thing here, one little thing there,
Mhm.
and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm getting itchy to play some more games, but
Yeah.
uh,
We need to find more people, like you said.
yeah,
Um,
people that want to, I mean, it's with sci-fi. It seems like uh, sci-fi players are more into actual role playing.
mhm.
Like than your fantasy gamers who are just It's really hard to be an adventure gamer in
Mhm.
sci-fi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no power creep. There's no superpower or you know magic items and things like that drastically change the character from how they start to how they die. Sci-fi
Yeah.
characters tend to be kind of done. They're kind of set in stone. They might have a growth arc, but they're still kind of 90% the same guy
Yeah.
from when they start to when they finish. Versus in fantasy games, they become completely freaking drastically different people because of the power and the magic and all that shit. Even Luke, you know, from farm boy to Jedi, didn't really change. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Han Solo didn't change. Uh, Rico from Starship Troopers, he didn't change.
Yeah.
Um, and so the
And
characters like that are I think, more conducive for real role playing.
hmm
Uh, I'm not saying that fantasy people don't. It's just that
It's
over the last couple of
desires.
years, it's hard to find people who want to role play online in a fantasy game. They just want the freaking combat and the treasure,
Hmm.
and that's
Yeah, and also like
that's
in
their idea.
Traveler's system, kind of like one, it's combat's supposed, very deadly, but it's like there are all these other things that your character can do. That's like it's like, oh, fix, you're in the middle of combat. Maybe the most important thing is fixing the M drive or getting power to the thing.
Hmm.
And some of the combat things can be contingent on other skills, depending on how the GM makes it. But
Hmm.
there's all other situations where like, oh, we misjumped it. Now what are we gonna do?
Right, right. Which no one ever seems to get lost in fantasy role playing games. You ever notice that?
Yeah, a little bit like the sort of like the those campaign like the OSC old school games where you're doing some hex explorations, but you never really totally lost. You'll
Yeah,
probably
yeah. I
figure
mean,
it easily got. Yeah.
yeah. When you're looking at a hex map, I mean, if you're playing like a hex crawler, it's like you literally can't get lost except in that hex to
Hmm.
find, And as soon as you're out of that hex, you kind of know which hex you're in.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Yeah.
I honestly can't think of one time in a fantasy role playing game me or the party got lost on the way to the dungeon. In the dungeon, that's different because you're in a
Mhm.
maze. But getting to that maze, you never get lost.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack in a big, wide, wide world. You don't get lost. But once you're in this tiny little freaking, eighth of a mile underground complex, you can get lost and die of starvation.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
what?
I guess you could
I'm
do
just
like
gonna
you got.
leave. I'll just leave.
Yeah.
I'll just follow the way my footsteps or I remember I was in this room and I came through that door and I remember I came through that door, and just
Yeah.
leave.
I mean, yeah, and there's a little bit like kind of loss of like sort of reality where, like when we do our OSE game, we're literally drawing the maze as we go through it.
Right.
Which in reality, I guess you could be. I don't know if it's a equivalent to your memory of the maze, but yeah, I feel like it's almost like not realistic, like that we would know the perfect mapping of Stonehell down to level 2 and 3. But
I
like
can't remember ever in my life drawing a map of anywhere in the real world.
yeah.
There's always been some tool or I don't know, a real map.
Hmm.
Um, other than maybe giving someone directions.
Yeah.
You go here, go here, go here, go here on a piece of paper, but then you're just going by street names or landmarks, depending on who and who you're giving the instructions to and where they're going.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I'm almost like at the point where in the game where it's like it's a room 30 by 20, and I love the game and I'm having fun and the GM's great and all the other players are great, but it's like just give us the map if we're doing that, like just print,
Hmm.
get a photocopy of that section and give it to us at the end of
Well,
the session.
I always found funny that nobody understood what the 10-foot pole was for.
Checking for
They always
traps
think it's for tapping on the floor for traps.
and the ceiling.
You know how useless that would actually be?
Um, Depending on the trap, yeah, it could be.
Tapping on a stone floor that's literally gonna like open, as a pit. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Tapping on it from fully extended 8.5, 9 feet away, holding one end and tapping on the stone is not going to provide enough impact on the stone to trigger anything.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can you give me 2 sheets of graph paper?
Speaking of graph
I
paper,
guess it
how's the
could be.
game?
Ended.
Everybody leave?
No, 2 of them left. They need 2 green pieces of graph paper because they want to remake their sheets because their sheets are kind of ass.
Because they saw how
Josie did it, yes.
there's one. Hold on. Sorry, George. The 10-foot pole is actually for mapping.
Oh, okay.
It's not for freaking tapping on floors. Whoever thought that that's what it was for was kind of dumb. Because even if Arnold Schwarzenegger took a 10-foot pole and thwapped with the tip of that 10-foot pole onto a stone floor, how much force and impact? It's not going to be the equivalent of 100 or 200 pound
Yeah.
man stepping on that trap to activate it.
Yeah. I guess you could hear it hollow or maybe or something like that. But yeah.
Maybe if it's made out of really dense, hardcore wood with
Yeah.
some sort of resonance mechanism or thing. But a 10-foot pole is a 10-foot yardstick.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's what it's always been for. The other thing it's for is to determine if the floor is sloped or not. You know how dwarves can detect sloping passages
Mm-hmm.
that are always 10 feet wide?
Okay.
You
So you
put
just
it
put
in
in
the
there.
passageway, and if it starts rolling down, you know
Mm-hmm.
it's sloped.
Okay.
It's not the things that over the years people have thought misconstrued
Mm-hmm.
or gotten wrong could fill a library
Yeah.
of books. It's like yeah, next time your players do the 10-foot tappy pole thing, unless you specifically make the traps so that they can be discerned, by hitting the floor with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I guess you could hit 5 feet away from you relatively hard.
uh-huh. But would it be hard enough to snap that pole?
Yeah.
Now marbles work for that as well. Yes, that marbles are great for a bunch of things, especially if you pick them back up afterwards. Which I can't tell you how many DMs said, "Oh, same with caltrops. Oh, you used them. You can't pick them up." What? I will spend the 45 minutes and I will gather all 19 of them back up. You friggin' dunce, right? I mean, have you ever dropped a bag of marbles as a kid? You
Oh
go and
yeah.
you hunt them down, you pick them up, and you put them back in your marble bag. Because tomorrow you're gonna freaking play Timmy at the freaking park a game of
Mm-hmm.
marbles because you want that freaking blue Aggie.
Yeah.
Okay, so why can't I pick up my marbles? Well, they went all over the place. Well, we'll look, because look how handy they were. They're not a disposable resource. What, they fell into the holes in the floor or some shit? I hate that kind of
Yeah.
uh, DM sort of trying to whittle away your resources that aren't whittleable or
Yeah.
weren't meant to be. I've got a player in one of my games. He absolutely loves both caltrops and marbles, and he's always looking for a way to use them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, go for it. Doesn't hurt me. I don't care. I literally,
I do like those little dungeoneering kind of things, like setting up like little tripwire around your camp and things like that, and or things to hold the doors open or hold them closed. It's like I'm on a doorstop.
yeah. I was watching one of those cowboy videos this morning, and it turned out, the trick with putting rope around your sleeping bag.
No, it's that one.
Well, it supposedly keeps snakes from crawling into your sleeping bag.
Oh, okay.
You make a ring of rope around your sleeping bag. The funny thing is when I was dating this girl, she was in the Marine Corps, and she did all the setup of the camp, right? And she dug the trench and she put the rope around the tent and all that crap. And it
Hmm.
turns out that works against snakes if it's the right kind of rope. Not just any old rope will do that. There's a
Okay.
specific kind of rope that if you make a coil around your sleeping bag or your tent, there's about an 87% chance that the snake will say, "Fuck that! I'm not going over that kind of rope." Other kind of rope, especially like nylon and shit like that, they don't care. They're going right over that crap. But if it's made out of horsehair from their mane, it's there. That kind of hair uh, has a specific effect that actually will deter snakes, and it's not all snakes, but enough United States variety for it to be a thing. Um, but knowing those little survival uh, tricks and things like that, I mean, if you like me like to play Rangers, or uh, have a ranger in a group that you're running for, you can teach those skills to those players uh, around you, no matter who they are, through the use of those skills and techniques, and get away with them in game.
Yeah.
It's like you know how to start a fire. The GM's like, well, how do you do it? You can tell them, you break out your bow drill or you make a bow drill or whatever. And you can describe all that crap. You know, they're hard pressed to do anything other than say, "All right, make a die roll." Leave
Yeah.
it up to that, as opposed to just
Yeah.
going, "You can't. There's nothing here." Well, I don't need anything. I got this, and I got this, and I got that. I'm doing it. You
Yeah.
just tell me how long it takes, bitch.
One of the interesting things I remember seeing was like a lot of like the old pioneers and stuff. They would literally have a little metal box that actually carried embers in them that were still
Mhm.
still.
Or just having flint, steel, and char cloth.
Mhm,
You know, back in the old days, it would cost them like 15 cents. I
mhm,
know that prices, but it was like almost nothing. It would be like a freaking Altoids tin, a piece of flint, a piece of steel, and some cloth that they had put in the tin over a fire so it would get blackened. They could then use to start the next fire because it would just catch. You spark, you throw some sparks on that from the flint and steel onto that cloth, and it would catch fire like you know and put that
yeah.
into a freaking bundle, and you're good to go. Unless you're in the desert and the GM says there's nothing around to burn. Well then you don't have to really worry about freezing to death either.
Yeah.
But
My dad said he used to use quartz for to make sparks and stuff.
you can make some sparks, but and you can usually we used to do it with hitting two quartz together.
Mhm.
We do it in the closet or in the out at night or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna say adios in about 5 minutes. I don't know if it's controllable enough or if it will actually make enough spark to
Yeah.
make a fire. But I do know that you lost all your marbles, Mike. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find them. Just ask Peter; he might know where they are. If you get that reference,
Yeah. I think I might cut out early.
it sounds like the
Um,
wife needs you to
yeah.
help her with something. No worries.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see what happened with Jackie's game. I will see you Monday morning, maybe. Have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great
No.
weekend.
Yeah. And we'll keep in touch on through Discord. I want to maybe go over some of the ideas you had about some AI stuff, for the
I
to make
appreciate
something
that.
like a promo for the game or something.
That would
Awesome.
be a lot of fun.
Great.
Um,
All right.
say hi to the family for me. Cold Iron, sorry you just got here at the time you did. Same thing, Mike. Everybody else who've been hanging out with me all night. I appreciate it. I'm going to go see how Jackie's game was. I will see you guys, like I said, either tomorrow in my Sunday game or Monday morning. I've got a couple of interesting video ideas. Thanks for that. Have yourself a great weekend. Love you guys. And until then, happy trails.